For the last time in the regular season, welcome to The Rock. High atop Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, this is Indiana University football. Today, the second-ranked Hoosiers aim for their first 11-0 start in program history as they host the Wisconsin Badgers on Senior Day. Alongside Luke Brenneman, I'm Nick Rodecap. Our studio host is Ben Kruer, and our spotter is Dylan Beach. Luke, it's great to be with you. This Wisconsin team is as bruised and battered as you'll find, and at 3-6, they've had their struggles this season. But the Badgers have new life after upsetting number 23 Washington at home last Saturday.
And it's new life. Your first Big Ten win goes a long way, but they also beat a ranked team, Nick. This is a Washington team that at the midway point of this season had a Heisman quarterback, or at least a candidate in that realm. And the fact that Wisconsin came out and publicly said they're going to stick with their head coach in Luke Fickell, they get a ranked win at home, and things are all going well, but now you run into the beast. The number 2 team in the country, Senior Day in Bloomington. It doesn't get much tougher than this.
Luke Fickell has had his struggles at the helm in Wisconsin, but he hasn't gotten a whole lot of help. Wisconsin has been without its opening day starting quarterback for at least 3 games in each of Fickell's 3 seasons in Madison, and that trend continues this afternoon. The Badgers lost Billy Edwards Jr. on opening day. He came back briefly against Maryland, re-aggravated his injury. They went to Danny O'Neal, the Indianapolis native, and O'Neal suffered a serious leg injury last weekend against against Washington. So enter true freshman quarterback Carter Smith. Smith led the Badgers offense in that upset win over Washington last weekend. He completed just 3 passes for 8 yards, but added 15 rushes for 47 yards and the game-tying touchdown. These Indiana fans below us getting loud because Indiana's running out onto the field. Luke, this is going to be a massive test for a Wisconsin offense that is one of the worst scoring offenses, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country.
And for good reason. You kind of laid it out there. I mean, how about this stat? The only Big Ten team to have 4+ quarterbacks attempt 10 or more passes in 2025. So you can point at Fickell. Sure, he's the head coach. Sure, he's getting paid a bunch of money. He came to Wisconsin after taking Cincinnati to the college football 4-team playoff a couple years ago. But he's 16-19 as a head coach. And a lot of that issue is the quarterback. This is Big Ten football. This is the cream of the crop, a top 2 team hosting Wisconsin. And if you don't have a starting quarterback or a capable guy, you simply have no chance. So you said it best. Carter Smith, he threw it 12 times last week, only completed 3 passes for 8 yards. Heck, their punter, Sean West, led the team in passing yards on a fake punt for over 20 yards in that win. How did they do it? They turned over Washington. They slowed the game down. Going to try and do a lot more of the same here on the road at Indiana.
And also leaning on those freshman linebackers that came up so big for the Badgers in their win over Washington, Mason Posa and Cooper Catalano. They dominated the Big Ten weekly honors this past week, and for good reason. Mason Posa, the co-freshman of the week in the Big Ten, forced a fumble, recovered a fumble, had 10 tackles and 2 sacks against Washington. And alongside him, the Wisconsin linebacker Cooper Catalano, a Wisconsin native, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week because he recorded 19 tackles against Washington. That's the most by any Wisconsin player since 2011. And you think back to those early 2010s Wisconsin teams, they were playing for Big Ten titles.
So there you go. At this point, you're 3-6 if you're Wisconsin. So what are you thinking about? Well, you're thinking about right now in Bloomington, but you're thinking about the future of your program. We have a 1-2 punch and a 2-headed snake in Posa and Catalano that you can really build around. These are freshmen combining for 30+ tackles in a ranked Big Ten win. That's some momentum. That's what Wisconsin's going to have to dive into. They like to stack the line of scrimmage, and they're going to have to stop the run for an Indiana offense that's running for over 230 yards per game. That's top 5 in college football.
Indiana, 232 rushing yards per game. They rank first in the nation, 44.5 points per game. The quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, only averaging about 250 yards a game, but he hasn't really had to carry the load in a way that quarterbacks sometimes do because Indiana's rushing attack is so balanced, and we're going to have to wait a little bit to see that rushing attack. Indiana won the coin toss and deferred to the second half, so the Hoosiers will kick off. And Wisconsin's offense will have to face this vaunted Indiana defense led by defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes early in this one. Not quite a full capacity crowd just yet here at Memorial Stadium. The student section is packed, but the rest of the bleachers under us, a sea of red, although not quite all the way full. Indiana in its home red uniforms with white pants, red helmets with the white IU trident on either side, and a pair of stripes running down the middle. Wisconsin in all white with red numerals, letters, and trim. White helmets with red lettering and accents on the top. Indiana getting set to kick off, moving right to left in your mind's eye. Wisconsin will get the first crack at it here. on Senior Day from Memorial Stadium. So happy you're with us on WIUX Sports alongside Luke Brenneman, Nick Rodecap with you. For Wisconsin, Vinny Anthony II and Jaden Ballard, the Ohio State transfer, are back deep, and the Brebeuf Jesuit High School product Quinn Warren is kicking off for the Hoosiers. Still no Brendan Franke, who sustained a leg injury on the opening kickoff against UCLA. That was about a month ago. Quinn Warren, hands on his hips. We've got 15 seconds on the clock, so the referee waiting for TV before we get underway. Indiana fans with their white towels in the air. And we've got some strong winds here at Memorial Stadium. They will be going in Wisconsin's face here early. The wind is moving out of the southwest, slightly across the field from left to right, and a little bit toward the north end zone, which is the end zone Wisconsin is defending. So Warren is ready to kick off, pacing backwards. Anthony and Ballard back deep for the Badgers as we get set for the final regular season game at Memorial Stadium. Warren up to the ball. The kick is in the air. It's end over end, angling toward the near side, taken not by Vinny Anthony or by anyone for that matter. It bounces through the end zone for a touchback. 1st and 10 Wisconsin from the 25.
Is this big time start here for Wisconsin? I mean, everything going against you, a top 2 matchup, Indiana at home. Not only has this crowd been so strong throughout this new era of Curt Cignetti football, but the defense has really been the catalyst in the home games. You look back to that top 10 win at the start of the year over Illinois, a blocked punt on the first 2 possessions of that one, and now you're a freshman in Smith. All eyes are on the youngster right now in Bloomington.
Smith leads the Wisconsin offense out onto the field in the shotgun on 1st and 10 from the 25. The running back is Gideon Atuka, the freshman from Cameroon. 2 receivers to the near side, 1 to the far side. Carter Smith in the shotgun brings a man in motion left to right, takes the snap and hands off to Atuka, running off the right guard between the hashes. He dives forward to the 27 before he is met by a gaggle of Indiana defenders. First on the scene is Mikhail Kamara, one of the seniors honored before today's game.
Big day here for Kamara. We talked about it. We did a social media segment for WIUX pregame, Nick. These are seniors, and they've been here for 2-3 years, but they laid a foundation for what the new Indiana football looks like. Kamara, Fisher, Pons, not Pons, but all of these guys just played such a big role.
2nd down and 7 for Wisconsin. Ball on the 28-yard line. 30 seconds gone in this game. Smith shotgun snap, fakes the handoff pitch, and room to run. Up the middle for Jackson Acker, the fullback. Out across the 45 and tackled on the far side hash at the 47-yard line. It was an option play, and Carter Smith made the right decision, pitching it to the 6'1", 250-pound fullback, Jackson Acker, getting the first down.
They ran the speedster wide receiver Chris Brooks Jr. across the formation like a jet sweep type of pitch play. Indiana bit hard. They read that one. They just gave it to the fullback, kind of tight end joint player, and Acker picks up a big gain.
His longest rush of the season, a gain of 19 yards. Wisconsin at its own 47-yard line, 1st and 10. Carter Smith alone in the backfield, 5 receivers spread out wide. Smith drops back, checks it down underneath. It's batted down, incomplete. Intended for Trech Kekahuna, the sophomore from Hawaii, broken up by the All-American defensive back D'Angelo Pons.
Defense is just such a collective effort here at Indiana. Originally, Smith well protected, looked right, stared right, kind of half pumped right, and then when he came back left, he did have the receiver out in the flat, but Pons was already on to Smith, turning his head, running into the play, almost could have picked that ball off and gone the other way.
3 receivers stacked near side right. The tailback is Atuka on the right hip of Carter Smith, the true freshman quarterback from Fort Myers, Florida. And a timeout before the snap called by Wisconsin's Luke Fickell. So less than 2 minutes into this scoreless game, Luke Fickell wants a chance to talk things over with Carter Smith. It'll be timeout on the field as well. So we will take the break with them here. Or actually, I lied. We will not. The referee was signaling, and I believe it's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it here. But, Luke, that's not the start you're looking for if you're Luke Fickell, having to burn a timeout super early.
No, but it is the start you're looking for when you get the fullback Aker involved, who's kind of a joint tight end. You pick up a 20-plus yard gain and a first down. The thing I don't understand, Nick, is it was just 1st and 10 from the 47. You got to run the football. That's their strong suit. They come out in 5 wide, just daring Indiana to play coverage, and Indiana says, be my guest. We'll put you behind this deck. Wisconsin wants to roll this clock. They want to milk it, get late into this game with a tight score, and throwing on 1st and 10 isn't going to do that with a quarterback who's completing 20% of his passes.
After the timeout, Carter Smith in the pistol brings the fullback into the backfield. It's a handoff to Darian Dupree. Cuts back to the left along the hashes, and he is met by 3 or 4 Indiana tacklers. Maybe a couple of yards on 2nd and 10. as they spot him at the 49-yard line. It's 3rd down and 8 for Wisconsin, just shy of midfield.
3rd down's extremely big deal for this Indiana defense. Opponents are converting 28% of the time against the IU defense on 3rd down. That's 5th in college football. So when it matters most, Indiana has been winning those downs.
Wisconsin worst in the Big Ten, 32% on 3rd downs on offense. 4 receivers in the formation. The tailback to the right of Carter Smith. Brings a man in motion left to right, fakes the jet sweep and keeps it himself. Running up the middle, he's got the 1st down. Tackled inside the hashes at the 41-yard line. Carter Smith on the QB keeper, and Wisconsin is into Indiana territory.
That's now the 2nd time we've seen that look. Send a receiver in motion to cross in front of the quarterback. The option to pitch it to him. Smith, a true runner on his own, originally a baseball player, ran it 15 times last week, scored in the 13-10 win. He has great vision. He doesn't sprint. He doesn't put his head down. He looks at the defense. He finds the holes, and he picked up the number.
Smith in the shotgun lifts his leg. 1st and 10 from the Indiana 42. Tailback is Atuka to his right. Smith takes the snap, fakes the toss, tries to run left, and Mario Landino stops him in his tracks. Landino, the sophomore out of Pennsylvania, plugging the run gap right there. It's a gain of just 1 on 1st and 10.
Right on with what I was just saying about Smith, Nick. That one, a designed QB run the whole time. Too patient. Not tucking the ball, not turning on the Jets. Indiana, they're 300-pounders on the line of scrimmage. If they don't win, then they'll wait for you at the line of scrimmage. That's what they do. They gang tackle Smith and suddenly behind the chains.
2nd down and 9 for Wisconsin at the Indiana 41-yard line. We're scoreless, 11:50 left in this 1st quarter. It's the first drive of the game for Carter Smith, the true freshman, leading this Wisconsin offense. Smith in the shotgun takes the snap. He's back to pass, and he's got all kinds of time. Throws underneath. The pass is caught and met immediately is the pass catcher by Isaiah Jones, one of the linebackers for Indiana. Looked like it was Jackson McGohan, the LSU transfer, on the catch. And he picks up about 4 yards, so it'll be 3rd down and 4 for Wisconsin. They got to get to the Indiana 32-yard line.
These are the situations that Wisconsin is okay being in. They need to stay at a 3rd and 10 with a young quarterback, but potential 4-down territory here. You can ask your quarterback Smith to keep it. You can run this football, try and pick up the sticks, and if you don't, go for it.
Ball on the left hash, 3 receivers wide to the right. Now the slot man comes in motion into the backfield. Smith takes the snap. The handoff goes to Trech Kekahuna, trying to get the near side edge, and he almost got there. It's going to depend on the spot. Amari Farrell and Aiden Fisher made the stop as everybody tumbled out of bounds at the 32. And the ball is spotted a yard short of the line of gain. So Indiana gets the stop on 3rd down. Wisconsin keeps the offense on the field. It's 4th and 1.
These motion looks, that's now the 3rd time on this drive, Nick. It's worked just about every time. That was a plus gain for Wisconsin. They can be okay in this situation against a defense as good as Indiana, 4th and inches. If you're going to beat the number 2 team in the country as a 30-point underdog, you have to execute. And so far, this has been a solid drive. Indiana with a chance to get off the field.
I formation for Wisconsin, 4th and 1 from the Indiana 33. Smith takes the snap, handoff, running straight ahead is Gideon Atuka. Indiana players think he's short. I think, just from our vantage point up here, that he got the 1st down, and that is indeed what the referees signal. Luke Fickell keeps his freshman quarterback on the field. He hands off to Gideon Atuka, and the Badgers have a fresh set of downs.
Atuka, kind of a short, stocky back, 5'9", 227. He can just stick his nose in there and get half a yard just about every time. A very talented runner, and he's evolved. He's gotten a bigger role as the season goes on, running for over 4 yards a carry. Still has not scored. The pair of Wisconsin running backs, that's how strugglesome this offense has truly been. Neither of them have had a rushing touchdown this season.
Smith under center on 1st and 10, drops back to pass, pressure in his face, and down he goes back at the 46-yard line. Dominique Radcliffe with the sack, and that gets the Indiana fans back into it. It's a loss of 7.
Just completely blitzkrieging the line of scrimmage is Radcliffe. Smith starts under center, no running back behind him. They try and go quick, get a little bit cute. All receivers were in vertical patterns trying to hit a big one, but they didn't go quick enough. They let Indiana get set, and then they tried to hurry it up at the line of scrimmage. Indiana all over that one.
9 minutes left, 1st quarter. We're scoreless. Wisconsin and Indiana territory on the 1st drive of the game. Smith in the shotgun. Darian Dupree is the tailback to his left. Shotgun snap, handoff Dupree on a stretch play running outside the hashes to the right. Not a whole lot there as he picks up a gain of 2 before the senior linebacker Aiden Fisher brings him down. And Luke, it's 3rd down and 14 for Wisconsin on the edge of field goal range at the 35-yard line.
Situations like this sum up the success of the Indiana defense so far. An obvious passing down And now at the 36, arguably not in field goal range either. The kicker, Nathaniel Vakos, his long is just 42 on the year, so that'd be 10-plus yards from his long. They're going to try and get something here and then see what to do on 4th down.
Smith and the Wisconsin offense break huddle. 3 receivers far side left. A tight end on the line of scrimmage on the right side. Now a man in motion from left to right. Smith is ready for the snap. He takes it. He's back to pass once again. Pressure in the middle, and he dumps it off. Pass is caught underneath and tackled well short of the sticks is Vinny Anthony, the senior out of Louisville, Kentucky. Tackled on the left hash at the 27. It'll be 4th down and about 5. Devin Boykin in there on the stop, and Wisconsin brings the field goal unit out. And so Nathaniel Vakos on to attempt a 45-yard field goal attempt for Wisconsin. Vakos just 5 of 8 on field goal attempts this season. Ball on the left hash. Vakos is ready, looking to give Wisconsin a 3-0 lead. And the snap is back. The hold down. Kick on the way, end over end. Push to the right, and he missed it. Nathaniel Vakos no good from 45 yards out. Wisconsin went for it on 4th down earlier in the drive, but the Badgers cannot pay it off as Vakos misses his 4th field goal attempt of the season.
Watching Vakos' previous kicks throughout the season, he hits kind of a knuckleball that goes left to right in a fade pattern. Started it way out left. The crowd roared thinking obvious miss. It fought its way through the wind right back to the left side of that upright and just simply could not sneak its way in. That is a massive stop for Indiana. Sure, they're favored in this game. Sure, they should take care of Wisconsin. But, Nick, I will say, an impressive drive, a couple nice rushes for the Badgers, and to come away with no points, you're kind of just left hopeless in that situation.
So Indiana will take over 1st and 10 from its own 27-yard line. Timeout on the field. We'll take it with them scoreless with 7:21 left as Wisconsin comes up empty on its first possession. You're listening to Indiana Football on WIUX, your home for Hoosier Sports. Back here at Memorial Stadium, Wisconsin misses a field goal. Indiana getting set to take over 1st and 10 at its own 28-yard line. On that last Wisconsin drive, running back Gideon Atuka, who was carrying the load last week against Washington, limped off the field, so something to keep an eye on as this game goes along. The Hoosiers now trying to take advantage after Wisconsin comes up empty. Fernando Mendoza leading the Indiana offense onto the field. Mendoza, a Heisman Trophy frontrunner, threw the game-winning touchdown pass to Omar Cooper last weekend against Penn State. A sea of red in this Indiana crowd as Indiana goes empty on 1st and 10. Ball on the far side hash. Roman Hemby, the running back, motions into the backfield. Mendoza ready to take the snap. It's head high, fakes the handoff to Hemby, throws a quick out route to the far side. It's caught by E.J. Williams at the 35-yard line. A gain of 8 on 1st and 10.
Mendoza just gets the ball out so quick. When he pulls the play action away, there is just no extra movement when he slots it right behind his right ear. And I really like getting Williams involved. Wasn't really involved until that final drive against Penn State. He is too talented to not touch it, especially with no Elijah Surratt.
4 receivers in the formation for Indiana. Hemby to the left side of Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza takes the snap, back to pass again. This time it's an out route to the near side. Caught on the numbers at the 41 by Charlie Becker. Brought down by Ricardo Hallman, but it's a quick first down for Indiana. Becker had that huge game, 7 catches, 118 yards against Penn State last week. In Elijah Surratt's absence, he gets the start once again this afternoon.
This wide receiver room looking a lot like last year. Guys just increasingly getting more dynamic the deeper into the season. Omar Cooper Jr., 2nd in touchdowns in the Big Ten. Elijah Surratt, number 1, and the other guys are filling in nicely.
2 tight ends, 1 to either side on the line of scrimmage. Mendoza takes the snap. The handoff goes to Roman Hemby running straight ahead, and it's a good gain on 1st and 10 as Hemby tumbles past the 45-yard line. A gain of about 3 or 4, depending on the spot.
It's going to be interesting to see how Indiana does fare, and especially the strategy of the scouting report attacking this defense. As poor as Wisconsin has been, their defense is pretty solid, and they looked great last week. Turned over Washington. Heck, they held them to 10 points. That's a top 23 team in the country who everyone was writing home about their offense at the midway point of this season.
Mendoza looks at a 4-man front in the pistol on 2nd down and 6. And he takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Hemby, back to pass, and he dumps it off in the flat to Holden Stays out across the 50 before he's brought down. A nice gain for Indiana. The backup tight end Holden Stays in there, brought down by Thomas Heiberger, the linebacker. So it goes from 2nd and medium to 3rd and short. 3rd and 1 for Indiana at the plus 49-yard line.
Mendoza makes plays that other guys can't make, and you would never really watch that play again. He threw it into the flat, but he looked at E.J. Williams, who was deeper down the field, kind of no-looked it into the flat, gave an extra 4 yards to his tight end.
3rd down and 1 for Indiana. Mendoza in the shotgun, takes the snap, handoff Hemby. He's got all kinds of daylight out the middle. The 1st down and then some, running between the hashes before he's brought down at the 42-yard line by Cooper Catalano. Indiana needed 1, and they got a lot more than that into Wisconsin territory at the 42.
A nice start on these first 3 first downs for Indiana. They're just getting into situations where they're not predictable. They're throwing the ball on 1st and 10 for 6 yards, then 2nd and 4. Heck, you could take a shot or you can run the ball. 3rd and 1, you're giving it to your big back Hemby.
4:39 left, first quarter. We're tied at 0. Indiana's first possession of the game. Mendoza in the shotgun. Kalon Black is the running back to his right side. Mendoza back to pass, flush from the pocket, rolling right. Pressure in his face. He throws on the run, off the hands of Omar Cooper and incomplete, out of bounds. It would have been a gain of 15, but the ball was just a little too high for Omar Cooper.
I think Omar Cooper would be the first one to tell Fernando Mendoza when he ever gets up outside of that Wisconsin bench area. He went diving in head first, that he probably should have hauled that one in. I mean, considering the catch last week, you might be able to throw into the moon and say Omar Cooper Jr. might catch it and get his feet in bounds. That was a fantastic throw from Mendoza. Tough on the run under duress. Cooper was open, maybe a little bit too high.
Davian Chandler, the far side receiver, 3 receivers near side to the left. Mendoza takes the snap after the incompletion. It's a screen pass for Kalon Black. He's got daylight across the 40, runs into his own man inside the 35 and tackled at the 34 by Jameer Latimer. But Indiana picks up a nice gain on 2nd down and 10. A design screen pass there for Kalon Black and great downfield blocking.
Offense is simply so dynamic. They never give you the second look. They run so many of the RPOs, and they can immediately switch it up in just a well-executed screen. Black had 3 blockers.
3rd down and 2 for Indiana. Ball on the left hash at the Wisconsin 33-yard line. 3:50 left first quarter. Hoosiers trying to break the scoreless tie after Wisconsin missed a field goal. Mendoza claps his hands. Chest-high snap goes his way. It's a handoff to Kalon Black, running behind his blockers. And he's met by 3 or 4 Wisconsin defenders before his forward progress is stopped. It looks like enough for the 1st down, and we'll move the chains. 1st and 10 for Indiana.
So 2 similar drives right now. If you take Wisconsin on the opening possession, they took over 6 minutes off the clock, had no points on the missed 45-yard field goal. For Indiana, a couple plays, getting into 3rd and short, running the ball. Now trying to enter inside the Wisconsin 30-yard line if they just pick up 2 yards here, but another long drive getting late into this first quarter.
A gain of 2 on 3rd and 1. Mendoza in the gun. Roman Hemby is the tailback to his right side. 2 receivers close to the line of scrimmage on the right. Charlie Becker alone on the left side. Mendoza back to pass, looking down the field. Becker's open in the end zone, and the pass is caught. Touchdown, Indiana. Charlie Becker. What a month of November he is having. The sophomore from Nashville, 100 yards last week. This week, he kicks things off with a touchdown catch from 31 yards out. A leaping grab with 2 hands on the left side of the end zone. Indiana leads 6-0 with 3 minutes left in the first.
Who would have thought the sophomore out of Indianapolis would come alive as potentially, as of right now, the number 3 receiver for Indiana? Charlie Becker is not just have the size at 6'4", he's got the speed. He's burning guys off the line of scrimmage. That's a good cover corner in Holman, and Becker beat him, climbed the ladder, and hauled it in. An unbelievable throw and catch.
Nico Radicic on for the extra point, as automatic as you'll find, and he knocks it through. 7-0 Indiana over Wisconsin with 2:56 left in quarter number 1. The drive, 9 plays and 72 yards, capped by a 31-yard touchdown pass from Heisman hopeful Fernando Mendoza to the sophomore wideout Charlie Becker. You're listening to Indiana football on WIUX, your home for Hoosier Sports. Back here at Memorial Stadium, Indiana has taken a 7-0 lead over Wisconsin. 2:56 left in the first quarter. Alongside Luke Brenneman, Nick Rodecap with you. Indiana capped that drive with a 31-yard touchdown pass from Fernando Mendoza to Charlie Becker. 9 plays, 72 yards in 4.5 minutes. And Luke Brenneman, this Wisconsin offense, a strong first drive, moved the ball 48 yards down the field, but missed a field goal and now finds themselves down 7-0.
We said it in the break, Nick. It just changes the momentum so much. Nobody really expects a 30-point underdog to come in here and beat a top 2 team in the country. But when you have a solid drive like that with a quarterback just making his second ever start, you pick up a couple first downs, you get inside the 30-yard line at one point, and all they do after that is go backwards. You miss the kick. It's like the worst ending of all of it. You don't have the lead, and then you give the ball to Fernando Mendoza. What a catch, though, from Becker. I just love talking about how much he's coming on right now. Last week, he pretty much told the entire state of Indiana, hey, I can do the things that Cooper and Surratt can do, and now he's starting the quarter here against Wisconsin with a 31-yard grab. Charlie Becker might just be a name that Indiana fans come to love by the postseason.
Quinn Warren ready to kick off, sends the ball in the air. This ball is headed for the back of the end zone. It goes through the end zone on the fly for a touchback. The true freshman quarterback Carter Smith leading this Wisconsin offense, now faced with a 7-0 lead. I don't think he thought this is where he was going to be back in August, because he began this season running the scout team.
How about that? I mean, college football, there's all these high-level recruits. You're getting millions of dollars in a conference like this dumped at a quarterback to run the show. And the biggest equalizer of this entire sport is you can't win if you can't play. You can't produce if you can't play. And if you're not healthy, you're not available. So they're going to pretty much a baseball player in Carter Smith. He's extremely athletic, 6'3", 200 pounds, and he's proven that he can run. But this level and schematically the defense of Indiana is just so hard to walk in and try and score a touchdown, let alone get a first down.
This is a situation Wisconsin has been in many times this year. We've got timeout on the field, but we'll keep it here. Earlier in the week, Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti called Wisconsin's schedule a murderer's row. I mean, just listen to the teams they've had to face this year. On the road against Alabama, Michigan, and Oregon. At home against Ohio State and Iowa, and now at Indiana. So they played the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country, a top 4 college football playoff seed right now in Alabama. It is a murderer's row, and they've had to do it with no sense of consistency at the quarterback position, and that's why you look at these numbers for Wisconsin. One of the worst scoring offenses in the country, bottom 3 in the FBS at 12.5 points per game. Last in the Big Ten at running the football, just 115 yards per game, and throwing the football at 141 yards per game. It's just so difficult. Luke Fickell said in order for Wisconsin to win this afternoon, they've got to throw the football down the field. Carter Smith right now on that first drive didn't really air it out. He kind of dinked and dunked, and there was a lot of rushing on that drive as well. 8 carries for for Washington. I'll try again. 8 carries for Indiana's Wisconsin. I'll start over. 8 carries for Wisconsin's rushing attack on that opening drive. Hey, third time's the charm.
There you go. Happy senior day to you, Nick Rodecap.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be working with you. You've been a household name at WIUX. We're lucky to have you. But I will say, before we get into this drive, when we were doing our mic checks with our studio host, Ben Kruer, Ben's mic check was a Charlie Becker first touchdown. So the guy to my right might be onto something up here on the roof of Memorial Stadium.
Well, it's a noon kick, so my brain's not firing on all cylinders, but when it does fire on all cylinders, it's working well. After the media timeout, 1st and 10, Wisconsin from its own 25-yard line. Indiana leading 7-0 with 2:56 left in the opening quarter. Carter Smith in the shotgun. Darian Dupree is the tailback to his right side. One receiver near side, another man in motion right to left. Smith takes the snap. It's a stretch play to Dupree running to the left side, and he does not get back to the line of scrimmage. Indiana's defensive front won that time. Hosea Wheeler with the TFL.
That's what Wisconsin was trying to avoid on the opening drive of the game, was being predictable. 1st and 10, running the ball every time, and then you get behind the sticks in a 2nd and 11 like this. The issue was when they did get to 1st and 10s and they had ran the ball for previous first downs, they then took shots on 1st and 10, and that meant Smith dropping way back and getting under duress. That's when bad decisions happen.
Trips right for Wisconsin on 2nd down and 11. Smith lifts his leg and takes the snap. He's back to throw. Looking left side. It's caught underneath by Chris Brooks Jr. Fighting his way forward. He's got the first down past the 35 to the 36. And, well, Carter Smith not airing it out there, but getting it to one of his playmakers and letting him go to work.
And, Nick, it was a really nice throw. Indiana kind of 2 lines of defense. When they get that 3 linebacker look, there's guys 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's the one line. And then the secondary right on the stick. So everyone sits down all 5 to 8 yard routes, and he had to zip it in there between the Indiana backers, put it right on the sternum of Brooks Jr., and he fought his way for that first down.
Indiana runs more zone than almost any team in college football. 1st and 10 for Wisconsin Wisconsin at the 36-yard line. Smith fakes the toss left, now looking to throw deep down the left sideline, airing it out, but throwing it well too far. He overthrew the receiver running down the far sideline. Elijah Hardy had the coverage. And it looked like it might have been Jaden Ballard, the Ohio State transfer, who he was looking for.
Well, he came out of the backfield, Nick. It was a wheel route. The far side receiver was on a straight go that kind of turned into a post towards the hashes in the middle of the field. It opened up the wheel route, and when Smith pumped, it had the DB chasing, but the receiver did slow down at the 50-yard line. I thought that throw was pretty good if the receiver would have kept running.
Two running backs with Smith in the backfield on 2nd and 10. The handoff goes to Atuka. He breaks the first tackle, but a gaggle of Indiana defenders is back there to meet him. And once again, he does not get back to the line of scrimmage. It's 3rd down and 12 as Tyreek Tucker had the tackle, one of Indiana's key interior defensive linemen.
Well, it was Hosea Wheeler for the second time now on this drive that blitzed right through the line of the scrimmage, and then getting out of it was the back, and he woke up to Tyreek Tucker, 300 pounds, right in his face.
White towels in the air for these Indiana fans. Under a minute to go in the first quarter. 7-0 Hoosiers. 3rd and 12 for Wisconsin at its own 34-yard line. Smith dumps it off in the flat. The pass is caught by Darian Dupree, and he goes nowhere. Jamari Sharp with the tackle on the outside numbers at the 28-yard line. Wisconsin goes backwards on its second drive, and the Badgers are forced to punt. It's 4th down and 16.
Wisconsin just simply has no chance, not winning this game, but converting on those 3rd and down situations. Indiana is too disciplined. They're not going to send the house. They're not going to give you an opportunity to hit it over the middle. Smith is going to have to make throws that we have not seen Carter Smith make in his college football career if they're going to convert in those situations. A 5-yard screen pass, that's going backwards.
Sean West sends a short punt in the air. It hangs up in the wind, and Jonathan Brady lets it bounce. It takes a Wisconsin roll inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. Sean West sent that high into the air, and with these winds gusting back in his face, it hung up well in front of where Jonathan Brady was anticipating. But it takes a Wisconsin roll, and the Hoosiers will take over 1st and 10 at their own 18-yard line. But before that, we will take a quick break. It's the end of the first quarter here at Memorial Stadium. 7-0 Indiana over Wisconsin, and the Hoosiers will get the ball when we come back on WIUX. Back here at the Rock, start of the second quarter between Indiana and Wisconsin on Senior Day. Hoosiers have a 7-0 lead, taking over at their own 18-yard line after forcing Wisconsin to punt. Alongside Luke Brenneman, Nick Rodecap with you. Wisconsin coming off an upset win over Washington at home, but before that, the Badgers had lost 5 games in a row. They are one of only a handful of teams that can ever say they played number 1 and number 2 in the same year, and so far it's not going according to plan. But Indiana in the shadow of its own end zone. Maybe Wisconsin can take advantage. 1st and 10 for the Hoosiers. Fernando Mendoza in the shotgun. Kalon Black, the running back, to his right side, and he fakes the handoff, dumps it off to E.J. Williams outside the hash marks on the 25-yard line. Williams is met by a couple Wisconsin tacklers, including the freshman linebacker Mason Posa. But a strong start to this Indiana drive, a gain of 8, and it's 2nd and 2.
Indiana continuing to try and get E.J. Williams involved, kind of those dink and dunk throws. It was an RPO look once again. If Mendoza would have handed the ball off to Kalon Black, I think he would have got 7 or 8 yards on his own. The hole was massive as well. Indiana just so dynamic in these situations.
Black motions out of the pistol to Mendoza's left hip, and the handoff, no, Mendoza keeps it, trying to get the edge on the left side. Becker is the lead blocker. Doing a nice job there is Fernando Mendoza as he's tackled at the 30-yard line. A 1st down for the Hoosiers as Mendoza picks up 4.
It's the degree of when Indiana takes their shots is what makes them special, Nick. It was situations like this. 2 plays, then you move the sticks. You get to 3rd and 1, you run the ball, you move the sticks. Then when they were at the 31-yard line on their opening offensive drive, then you take the shot. After you've worn down the defense, after you've read how they're playing you, they just don't make mistakes. They are so strong in the intelligence department offensively.
Pistol look for the Hoosiers on 1st and 10. Mendoza takes the snap, looks right, now comes back to the left and finds Charlie Becker. Outside the hash marks, he has the 1st down, tackled at the 44-yard line by Posa. Indiana taking big chunks out of this Wisconsin defense. They're already almost at midfield.
Yeah, you said it right, Nick. This is a Wisconsin defense giving up 22.3 points per game, and the offense has been awful this season. However, the defense They should not be getting shredded like this. This defense is talented. They're strong. They tackle well. They need to get to Fernando Mendoza. He has had the cleanest pocket through a quarter than I've seen all year.
1st and 10 at its own 44-yard line for Indiana. Mendoza takes the snap, handoff to Kalon Black, running left, getting absolutely nothing. Tackled in the backfield by Wisconsin's D lineman. Javier Scruggs was in there. And it's a loss of 1 for the Hoosiers. That's the first time we've seen them go backwards today.
That's right on cue with what I was saying. This is Wisconsin. They have the resources. Heck, if you've ever been to Madison, you can see why guys would want to go play here and play for a coach like Luke Fickell. This isn't a non-con type of 30-point spread matchup. Yes, Indiana is extremely good and have the Heisman favorite playing quarterback right now, but Wisconsin has some players that need to start making plays.
Hoosiers behind the chains on 2nd down and 11. Mendoza takes the snap, looks left, throws left. There's Charlie Becker again. They get back the lost yardage and then some into plus territory at the 47 before Becker is brought down by Emilio Agard, and it goes from 2nd and long to 3rd and 2.
Another favorable situation for Indiana. You know, you go backwards on 1st down, 2nd and 12. You pick up 8, looks like 9. Now you got 3rd and short. Another situation again where the defense is guessing and it's not an obvious run or pass down. Indiana comes out in the shotgun.
Becker, 4 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown in this first half. 3rd down and 2, Mendoza shotgun snap, a rollout to his right. He can keep it if he wants, but he's brought down in the backfield. There's Mason Posa. The reigning Big Ten Freshman of the Week stymies Indiana's quarterback. And it's 4th and 9 for the Hoosiers. Here comes the punt team.
That is one of those that Indiana, from a play-calling perspective, wants back, and Mendoza as a decision-maker wants back. It was an all-out play-action, roll-out, and send the receivers on go routes type of look, trying to hit a big one for Wisconsin, maybe bringing in some extra run support, and Mendoza should have thrown the ball away instead of trying to run for it. Then you maybe go for it on 4th down, not on 4th and 9.
Mitch McCarthy heels on his own 30-yard line, gets away a line drive kick that still hangs up in the wind. It's fielded at the 22-yard line by Tyrell Henry, and he is tackled immediately by Indiana's Bell. Ryland Gandy had the coverage and the tackle. And it's a punt of 34 yards for Mitch McCarthy. A gain of 3 on the return for Tyrell Henry. Timeout on the field. We'll take it with him. 7-0 Indiana. Wisconsin's got the ball when we come back. 11:24 left in the first half here on WIUX. Back here at Memorial Stadium, 7-0 Indiana over Wisconsin. 11:24 left in the second quarter. Alongside Luke Brenneman, Nick Rodecap with you. Luke, Indiana's Fernando Mendoza sacked in the backfield on 3rd and 1. The Hoosiers had the punt, a chance for Wisconsin to tie the game here.
Wisconsin is just not a team where you can pick up massive chunk plays. You're not going to be able to toy with the Wisconsin defense. When you're at midfield and beyond it in that situation, 3rd and 1, just hand the ball off. Indiana's running for 5 yards to carry, move the chains and keep the drive alive. I didn't love it.
Carter Smith under center, fakes the handoff on 1st and 10 from his own 24, rolling right and pushed out of bounds by Elijah Hardy. That freshman inexperience perhaps biting Smith right there. He should have thrown it away. Instead, he's tackled for a loss of 3.
Smith sat outside of the hashes for over 4 seconds just trying to find someone open and then just lets himself get pushed out of bounds. That's going to be ruled a sack, so credit to Hardy. He'll pick that one up because if he would have just dumped the ball off even 3 yards from where he was, you're not looking at 2nd and 13. You're just 2nd and 10, an incomplete first pass.
Wisconsin at its own 21, 2nd down and 13. Smith in the shotgun, Gideon Atuka on his right hip. 3 receivers in the formation for the Badgers. Smith takes the snap, hands off to Atuka. He's got a hole running left between the hashes across the 25 out to the 28-yard line. And you get some of that sack yardage back, but it's still 3rd and medium, 6 yards to find a fresh set of downs.
It's becoming obvious now into the second quarter that the scouting report where Wisconsin thinks they have an advantage to throw the football against Indiana is on 1st down. But when you go backwards, when you take a sack, when you have an incompletion, we've seen a plethora of those already, then when you run it on 2nd down, sure, that's a really important pickup of 6 or 7 yards there to put yourself in 3rd and medium. But in this situation, here comes the crowd again. Here comes the Indiana defense. They may bring pressure here, Nick.
Wisconsin goes empty, 5 wide on 3rd down and 6. Now the running back, Dupree, motions into the backfield. Smith takes the snap, pressure off his right side. The ball is deflected into the air and incomplete. He was looking for Vinny Anthony short of the sticks. It went off Anthony's hands and fell harmlessly. Wisconsin goes 3 and out on its third drive.
Indiana caught a break there. That is exactly what you want to do from an offensive perspective. The blitz came hard from the near side of the field. They throw an all-out jailbreak screen to the far side of the field away from the blitz. If that ball was put on the chest of Vinny Anthony, he would have gone the distance for a 70-yard touchdown. There was no one out there.
Sean West on to punt for the second time. Jonathan Brady is back deep. It's a knuckleball kick fielded by Brady at the 18-yard line. He's got some space, reverses field past the 30, and is brought down at the 34-yard line. So a nice return by Brady, the Cal transfer, and good field position for Indiana when we come back. 9:46 left in the first half, 7-0. The Hoosiers will have the ball on the other side of this break. You're listening to Indiana football on WIUX. Welcome back to the Rock Memorial Stadium. Indiana's got the ball, 1st and 10 from its own 34-yard line. 7-0 Hoosiers over Wisconsin with 9:46 left in the second quarter. Indiana outgaining Wisconsin 99-57, and 89 of those 99 yards have come through the air, courtesy of Fernando Mendoza.
It's kind of been the Mendoza show. That's rare for Indiana at the start of games. Normally Fernando heats up in the second half, just starts nailing big passes once the defense is a little bit tired. Indiana 6 rushing attempts, only 10 yards. They've been stuffed at the line of scrimmage.
Tailback is Roman Hemby in the pistol behind Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza takes the snap, fakes the handoff, pressure in his face again, and he is brought down in the backfield by Wisconsin's Darrell Peterson. His second sack of the year, his first since the season opener back in late August. A loss of 4 on 1st and 10.
They're getting and winning at the line of scrimmage, as in the Wisconsin defense. Indiana has been successful passing the football, but that's kind of been on those in-and-out Mendoza RPOs. That one a true play action. Mendoza just kind of happy feet lingering and has to take the sack.
2nd down and 14 from the Indiana 30. Mendoza in the gun, Hemby behind him again. The handoff goes to Hemby, running behind his blockers, out past the 35. A nice gain by Hemby as he's brought down at the 37-yard line. So you turn it from 2nd and a mile to 3rd and manageable. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Still a favorable situation if you're the Wisconsin defense. These are situations where you flat out have to get off the field. And I will say, Nick, you start looking at the clock. Under 9 minutes in this first half, a 1-score game. If Wisconsin can get off the field here, they're playing with Indiana.
2 receivers left, one to the right for Mendoza. High snap, he handles it well. A flag on the play, a chance for a shot. Mendoza's got time. The throw goes down the field to Charlie Becker and incomplete. Becker got shoved in the back, but there is no flag in the secondary. A flag flew from the near side official at the line of scrimmage. It looked like Wisconsin may have been in the neutral zone, but it also looked like down the field Becker was interfered with. And they get Wisconsin's Sebastian Cheeks for offside, so that's a 5-yard penalty assessed to the Badgers, and that's kind of a difficult pill to swallow for head coach Luke Fickell because it goes from 3rd and 7 to 3rd and 2.
Well, it's even tougher if they would have called the flag at their own 40-yard line where Becker is sitting on a curl pattern waiting for the football, and as it's about halfway there, a 2-hand shove from the defensive back. Becker falls on his face before he can even see the football into his hands. No call over there. That shocks me.
So now 3rd and 2 from Indiana's own 42-yard line. Mendoza in the gun. Handoff goes to Hemby, and Hemby is met at the line of scrimmage. I don't think he got there.
He didn't.
It was a stretch play running right, and Hemby got ankle tackled in the backfield by Javier Scruggs, one of the Wisconsin D tackles, and you hear the boo birds. It's 4th and 1 from Indiana's own 43, and Kurt Signetti sends the punt team out there.
You got to do it. This isn't a situation where you look at the numbers. 8 rushing attempts, 13 yards. Indiana is not running the football well right now, and you're inside your own 45. This is an obvious punt down, but the issues on this drive coming before the 3rd down play.
Mitch McCarthy on to punt for the 2nd time for Indiana. The snap is back. He gets it away. It's an end-over-end kick, angling toward the near sideline. Fair catch called for and made by Tyrell Henry at the 21-yard line. A puzzling sequence there for Indiana. Mendoza takes the sack. The Hoosiers cannot capitalize on the Wisconsin offsides penalty. And the Badgers hanging tough here with Indiana. Timeout on the field, 7:46 left in the second quarter. Mendoza's 31-yard touchdown pass to Charlie Becker is the difference. 7-0 Indiana. The Badgers get the ball when we come back. You're listening to Indiana football on WIUX. Back here at Memorial Stadium, 1st and 10 Wisconsin at its own 21-yard line after Indiana punted just shy of midfield. 7-0 Indiana over the Badgers. 7:46 left until the break. Alongside Luke Brenneman, Nick Rodecap with you. Indiana gained 14 yards on that drive. A penalty made it 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 7. The Hoosiers got 1 yard, and much to the disappointment of the fans, sent the punter out there. Wisconsin, though, now has to go 79 yards, and they've gained just 57 through 3 drives.
Big drive here for Wisconsin. Can put yourself right in this game at about the midway point.
Carter Smith, the freshman quarterback, has 2 running backs in the backfield with him on 1st and 10. Smith takes the snap. It's a handoff to Gideon. Atuka breaks through to the second level, out to the 35-yard line. A gain of 14 yards to start the drive for the Badgers running back.
Telling you, Nick, Wisconsin is one chunk play away from really making Memorial Stadium, although it's quiet right now, silent. Fans are nervous. Indiana, 10 rushing attempts, 14 yards. They're not really moving the ball offensively besides that one dynamic drive where they went 70 yards and right down the field for the Becker touchdown. But it's now Wisconsin's offensive turn to show up in a ranked matchup.
2 running backs, 1 to either side of the freshman quarterback Carter Smith. 1st and 10 from the Wisconsin 35. Smith takes the snap. It's a fake handoff and a jet sweep. Running out of the backfield is Trech Kekahuna. Gets out to the 40-yard line, a gain of 5 before Devin Boykin brings him down near the sideline. And officially it's a gain of 4, but another solid chunk play on the ground for Wisconsin.
Not a jet sweep to the receiver that time, an end around where the quarterback actually turns around and pitches the ball to the streaking thin wide receiver to try and get him out wide. The tight end Jackson Aker, you called him a fullback earlier. He truly does it all. He was the outside leading blocker. He got the edge, able to turn that kind of no-yard run into 5 yards, get to 2nd and 5.
Ball on the 39-yard line. Smith takes the snap. Here's another wide receiver run. Out near the sticks is Vinny Anthony before he's forced out of bounds. Anthony just short of the line to gain, but this is 3rd and less than a yard as Wisconsin gets its receivers involved in the ground game.
See, this is a situation, Nick, where I know you have a freshman quarterback in Wisconsin, but you get a first down. Back-to-back positive gains. You got to go quick here, especially with a runner in Carter Smith. Get him under center, QB sneak it, and move the chains. This gives an extremely talented Indiana front the ability to substitute, get big, get ready, time up the snap count on the line of scrimmage. We'll see if they hand it to the fullback or have Smith take it up the middle.
Wisconsin in the I formation on 3rd and half a yard. It's a handoff to the fullback, Jackson Aker, and it looks like he got the first down, diving forward over a pile of bodies past the 45. Move the chains. First down, Wisconsin, and you hear some more boo birds here in Bloomington.
Aker, he plays every down. If he's not in a blocking role, he can touch the ball out of the backfield. This is a nice start to this drive for Wisconsin. You kind of keep looking at the clock. Every team completing a lot of their passes. They're running not for many yards. Long sets of downs, getting to 3rd down just about every time for both of these units. And there's 5 minutes left in the first half. Wisconsin, a couple first downs away from field goal range.
Wisconsin just shy of midfield at the 45. Smith back to pass on 1st and 10, pressured, and he throws it at the feet of his running back, Gideon Atuka. There wasn't a whole lot there. He had 3 or 4 pass rushers blazing at him, so just throw it into the dirt. It's 2nd and 10.
The processing and the timeliness of it, especially against an Indiana pass rush like this, is kind of getting to Carter Smith. That's understandable, but at the end of the play, when nothing was there, that's when you see Smith maturing a little bit as this game and his career progresses. He could have thrown it to the fullback, which would have been a loss of 5 yards. He spiked it into his feet. It stays 2nd and 10. The clock stops.
5:12 left in the first half. Indiana leading 7-0, but Wisconsin driving has the ball just shy of midfield at the 45. Darian Dupree in the backfield. Smith takes the snap, pressured again. Rolling left, he throws underneath, and a catch made, falling to the ground by the freshman out of Zionsville, Eugene Hilton Jr. Just shy of the sticks. They call him 2 yards short, so another 3rd and manageable here for the Badgers, as officially it's 3rd and 3.
Very calm feet there, rolling to his non-throwing side was the quarterback Carter Smith. He stayed calm. There was no pressure. He set his feet, delivered a strike. Those are the throws that Wisconsin fans are looking for him to make. Now for Indiana defense, 3rd and 3. Crowd getting into it here. Want to get off the field.
At the plus 48, Wisconsin goes empty on 3rd and short. Smith lifts his right leg. Indiana shows pressure, and they bring it. It's a QB keeper for Smith, trying to find some room behind his blockers. He's tackled from behind by a couple of Indiana defenders. And it's going to depend on the spot here. Daniel Ndukwe was one of the first to meet Smith between the hashes there. And it's 4th down and less than a yard for the Badgers. On the other side of midfield at the Indiana 45, they keep the offense out there.
Wisconsin flat out won at the line of scrimmage on that quarterback keeper there. Will Indiana show some fight with all the big fellas in on 4th and inches on the interior?
4th and inches from the 46-yard line for the Badgers. Smith in the I formation fakes the handoff. He's got a man wide open. The catch is made by Lance Mason. Nobody in front of him. Touchdown, Wisconsin. Luke Fickell takes a risk with the freshman quarterback running the show. Lance Mason with his 4th receiving touchdown of the season, a 45-yard dump-off on 4th and 1. And we are an extra point away from being tied in Bloomington.
That's how you do it right there, Nick. You run the ball, you play smash-mouth football, you pick up 3rd and short, you have your quarterback keep it, you play rugged, bruising football, and then when Indiana throws everyone at you to stop the run, you go over the top, you trust your quarterback, he put the ball right on the money to the wide-open receiver, and don't look now, Bloomington, but it might be a tie game.
Vakos on for the extra point. He knocks it through. Indiana was selling out for the run. Luke, we talked about how Wisconsin, they've already run the ball 17 times in this first half. Carter Smith, the freshman, faked the handoff, stayed calm. There was nobody left in the secondary. Mason was all alone. He could have walked into the end zone.
If you're not going to have an assignment on eligible receivers, a true tight end in Mason in that situation, then somebody, a blitzing strong safety, a linebacker, has to be accountable for the quarterback on the rollout. Sure, if you're going to send everyone, you would hope that you could get there. Smith had to do a full 360 turn, rolling to his weak side of his body and make the throw. You would like to be in his face. Nobody was, but credits Wisconsin. That's a heck of a drive right there. And Bloomington is awfully quiet. 7-7, 4 minutes to go in the first half. Wisconsin is really competing right now, especially on the defensive end, and here comes the offense on the scoring drive.
The freshman quarterback Carter Smith was 3 of 12 against Washington for 8 yards. That was his first action of the season. So far in this first half against Indiana's defense, Smith 7 for 11, 91 yards, and that 45-yard touchdown pass to Lance Mason. That is Mason's longest reception of the season. We'll see if the Indiana offense can respond. 3:42 left on the clock. We're tied at 7 here just before halftime at Memorial Stadium. Timeout on the field, but we will keep it here. I don't think anyone in Bloomington saw this coming at all. Indiana was a 30-plus point favorite when this game kicked off. You figured Wisconsin was dead in the water, but that has not been the case so far.
Well, they gained a lot of momentum in Madison last week. They beat the number 23 team in the country in Washington, and their defense proved we can win a game. Our defense won them that game. They turned over Washington when they were inside their own 5-yard line, led to a 1-play touchdown. You look at the final score, it was 13-10. The defense did everything. They had an interception in the end zone when Wisconsin was threatening to score, and a lot of the same here. And here comes the freshman quarterback. It's not like you think Carter Smith's going to show up and go Heisman for Heisman with Fernando Mendoza, but it's the ability for Luke Fickell and this staff and the rest of the guys out there on the field to put themselves in a position where they can make a big play like that. And right now, when nothing matters, the spread doesn't matter, what you've done previously doesn't matter, when you throw on your helmet and play on the gridiron, Wisconsin looks like a different team today, and they're really playing into their strengths. Their defense now, all kinds of momentum going back onto the field.
And Luke, I'll throw something else at you here. Another top 4 team in the college football playoff rankings. Texas A&M is losing 17-3 at home to 3-6 South Carolina. It's hard to win on any given Saturday in college football. Wisconsin kicking off, moving right to left. The Indiana deep man, Roman Hemby, watches it sail through the end zone for a touchback. 1st and 10 Indiana from the 25. 3:42 left in the second quarter. To the surprise of many, the undefeated 10-0 Hoosiers are tied with Wisconsin. We'll see if Fernando Mendoza has an answer.
I like that you brought up on any given Saturday, anyone can truly beat anyone, especially in these Power 4 conference matchups. But also, if you're Wisconsin, the ability to save a season to a degree. You start 0-5 in the Big Ten. You win last week. It doesn't do much for you, but to keep competing, have guys get better on every snap, that's what they're in the process of, and that's a testament to the coaching staff.
3 receivers wide to the left on 1st and 10. Roman Hemby to the left side of Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza the snap, handoff Hemby running behind right guard, gets a healthy chunk of yardage, tackled just shy of the 30 by Cooper Catalano, but a gain of 4 for an Indiana rushing attack that has really struggled, averaging under 2 yards per carry on the afternoon. And the running back down, it was actually Kalon Black who got that carry. He was slow to get up, and he struggles to the sideline, favoring either his midsection or his hand right there. And also going to the sideline is Khalil Benson, the right tackle. So the injury concerns that we've seen crop up for Indiana. Starting wide receiver Elijah Surratt, the starting left guard Drew Evans, both out today. Benson's been banged up the last couple weeks, and he limps to the sideline right there. See if Indiana can shake it off. 2nd down and 5. Hemby is in the backfield now after Black picked up 5 on 1st and 10. Hemby to Mendoza's left side. Mendoza hands it off to Roman Hemby, running off the right side, and is tackled outside the hashes at the 34-yard line. 3rd down and 1, but this Indiana crowd that has been so energetic this season feels very muted right now.
And for good reason. You're tied in a matchup that Indiana was supposed to come in here and dominate. I don't really know why many people bought into that. This is Wisconsin. This is Luke Fickell. This is 5-star pedigree. But Indiana has to clean it up. They got to be better. Mendoza's got to get the guys going and play more smooth football offensively.
Big 3rd down and 1 from Indiana's own 34-yard line. Mendoza the snap. Hemby cuts back to the right. He's got the 1st down, running along the hashes out to the 37-yard line. And a little bit of a sigh of relief there for Indiana fans. You can tick this down to the 2-minute timeout, and most importantly, you keep the football.
For Indiana, you would hope that this is the final drive of the first half. If you can punch it in, you get the ball to start the second half as well, kind of play that 2-for-1 game. But don't rush, don't panic. It's still tied when you're undefeated number 2 in the country. The only thing that matters is you get out with a win. It doesn't have to be pretty.
Indiana hurries to the line of scrimmage. They're going to run another play. Mendoza drops back, checks it off in the flat to Riley Nowakowski, the tight end. He's forced out of bounds at the 41-yard line by Mason Posa. So that keeps the clock running now in college football. 2nd down and 5, and with that, we will take the 2-minute timeout. So Indiana just shy of midfield, looking to answer Wisconsin here. We're tied at 7, 2 minutes until halftime. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Indiana football on WIUX, your home for Hoosier Sports. Back here at Memorial Stadium, number 2 Indiana struggling with Wisconsin right now, tied at 7 on the other side of the 2-minute timeout, but the Hoosiers have the ball just shy of midfield at their own 42-yard line. 2nd down and 5, and a chance for Fernando Mendoza to help these Indiana fans breathe a little easier going into the break. Indiana's some injury concerns. We've seen Kalon Black banged up, one of Indiana's star running backs, and the right tackle Khalil Benson limped off the field a couple of plays ago, but he is back out there for the moment. The Hoosiers playing with a backup left guard already in Aditamola Ajani, with the starting left guard Drew Evans missing another game due to an undisclosed injury. Empty set for Indiana. The running back Hemby is split out wide to the right. And now Riley Nowakowski, the tight end, motions to the left side of the line of scrimmage. Fernando Mendoza takes the snap, dumps it off to Nowakowski, running between the hashes, out across the 50 to the 45. He's got blockers outside the 35, 25, 20, tiptoeing the sideline, forced out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Riley Nowakowski with the longest play from scrimmage today for Indiana. The strong safety Austin Brown got him out of bounds, but Indiana is just shy of the red zone in one play after the 2-minute timeout.
Well-executed screen, Nick, but I thought it was 10 to 12 yards. I did not know Riley Nowakowski had wheels like that. He ran all the way across the field, beating out linebackers, and almost outran the safety to score a touchdown.
Nowakowski, a finalist for the Burlsworth Trophy, given to the top former walk-on in all of college football. He began his career not as a tight end, but as a fullback. Mendoza play action on 1st and 10. 2 pass rushers in his face, and he is sacked again. The 2nd sack of the first half for Darrell Peterson. He had just 1 all season before today, and it's 2nd down and 16 for Indiana back at the 27.
Curt Cignetti not happy on the sideline. He immediately calls a timeout. I'm not sure if I agree with that from a clock management perspective, but for Cignetti, it may just be the premise of let's figure something out. I will say on that play, you're getting breakdowns in these play-action rollout situations specifically. Wisconsin's all over it. However, if Fernando Mendoza is is actually going to be the first quarterback off the board in the NFL draft, that is a play that he has to be able to get rid of that football before he's brought down. He looks at the pressure. He knows he's under duress. And as of right now, Mendoza has gone down with the football in 3 of those situations already today. If he dumps it out of bounds, you don't have to burn a timeout. You don't go backwards, and you're still on schedule.
Indiana's lost 17 yards on 3 sacks today. Cignetti calls timeout. It'll be 2nd down and 16. Indiana at the Wisconsin 27-yard line. We're tied at 7 with 1:44 left until halftime. These Indiana fans restless. We've heard some boos, which, save for Indiana's opponents, the crowd really hasn't done at all this season here in Bloomington. Mendoza in the shotgun. Roman Hemby to his left. The tight end, Holden stays, motions out wide to the right. Mendoza claps his hands, takes the snap. This time he's got some time, looking for the end zone, and he overthrew Charlie Becker by a mile. He had time. There was nobody in his face, and it looked like that throw sailed on him.
Completely sailed on him. Becker turned the post route kind of into a in concept right in between the hashes, sitting down at the goal line. And Mendoza floated it like Charlie Becker was E.J. Williams, was going to jump up 9 feet and go grab it. I don't think anybody could have made that catch. So now 3rd and long, not a guaranteed field goal range type of situation. And also a chance for Wisconsin to get the ball back if they can get off the field here.
Clock stopped at 1:39 in this second quarter. Mendoza takes the snap on 3rd and long. It's a check down pass to Roman Hemby. He's got blockers upfield, tackled at the 20. And Indiana needed to gain 16 yards. Hemby got to the 20. They needed the 11. And so it's 4th and long, and out comes the field goal team and the boos once again here in Bloomington as the Hoosiers, 1, did not bleed much time off the clock, and 2, have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Well, that's why I mentioned the Cignetti timeout after the first down sack. You can still run the 40-second play clock, and then if you convert and you need time, dive into your timeouts. Also, the clock stops on first downs under 2 minutes.
Niko Radicic on for a 37-yard field goal attempt from the left hash. The holder is Mitch McCarthy. He puts the ball down. Radicic sends it end over end between the uprights, and Indiana takes a 10-7 lead on a 37-yard field goal from Niko Radicic. 55 seconds left here for Wisconsin to do something, Luke Brenneman. They could go into the locker room not just tied, but with the lead if freshman quarterback Carter Smith can lead a quick touchdown drive.
Well, the first thing is we'll see if they trust Carter Smith. Indiana with just 2 timeouts. Wisconsin and Luke Fickell may just say, hey, we've had a nice first half. We know Indiana gets the football, but we may lay our cards down here and just go down by 3. We know Indiana's defense can turn people over with the best of them, and they're hungry to get the ball back. Regardless, let's go to the drive a little bit. Indiana, on first down, when they're taking sacks, they're simply not responding. These aren't 2-3-yard sacks where Mendoza's getting back to the line of scrimmage. He's getting dropped, and when Indiana gets off schedule, Nick, this is going to be a very important thing to look out for, especially come the postseason potential Big Ten championship game. How can they get back on schedule? The RPO style of getting the ball in and out, running the ball for 5 or 6 yards a carry is very pretty when you're right there in 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1 situations, but 3rd and 9 is not very good, especially when you're only fighting your way back on a 6-yard screenplay.
Quinn Warren ready to kick off for Indiana, sends the ball high in the air and into that gusting wind. It's returnable for Wisconsin, and they're going to bring it out. Vinny Anthony outside the hashes across the 25, gets out to about the 28-yard line. 50 seconds on the clock, 2 timeouts for Wisconsin before halftime. Trailing Indiana 10-7, and it's worth mentioning on the Mendoza sacks. Indiana had not given up 3 sacks in a game before last week at Penn State. Now the Hoosiers have allowed 3 sacks in back-to-back games. And oh, by the way, we're not even at halftime yet here against Wisconsin. So Carter Smith brings this Wisconsin offense out in the shotgun with the running back Gideon Atuka to his right side. 2 receivers near side left, 1 to the right. Smith takes the snap. It's a handoff to Atuka running between the tackles out across the 30 to the 31-yard line as he falls forward. And we'll see whether or not Wisconsin calls timeout. It doesn't look like Luke Fickell is going to.
They're also huddling. They're kind of just conceding this possession.
And that's kind of what you talked about before, about how Wisconsin is content to go into the locker room still hanging with Indiana, and I think that's putting it lightly. It is 10-7. Wisconsin just now breaks huddle with 20 seconds on the clock, 18 on the play clock, so they do have to snap it again. Smith in the shotgun. 2 men in the backfield with him, Jackson Aker and Gideon Atuka. Smith takes the snap, hands off to Atuka, running right. He dives forward to the 38-yard line, and that will take us to halftime here in Bloomington. The fans very frustrated. Head coach Curt Cignetti right with them, I am sure. 10-7, the undefeated Hoosiers looking for their first ever 11-0 start, but Wisconsin is making them work for it. Luke Brenneman will have the second half call when we return from Memorial Stadium. Hoosiers 10, Badgers 7. You're listening to Indiana Football on WIUX, your home for Hoosier Sports.
A competitive first half of football in Bloomington. The Indiana Hoosiers lead the Wisconsin Badgers 10-7. We welcome you back to Memorial Stadium at the tippy top on the roof in our WIUX broadcast booth. I'm Luke Brenneman alongside senior Nick Rodecap and our spotter Dylan Beach. Ben Kruger holding it down with the halftime show in the studio. A tough first half for Indiana, but they're set to get the football to kick off the final 30 minutes of football. Indiana trying to get to 11-0 for the first time in program history. Wisconsin has the ball set at the 35-yard line and are looking to boot this thing away. Jonathan Brady and Roman Hemby back to return for Indiana. The ball fell down, still 25, 30 mile an hour wind gusts here in Bloomington. A crispy, fantastic, I would even call it picture perfect senior day weather-wise. 72 degrees, a couple clouds scattered through blue skies that make it feel like August here. And a competitive second half of football set to get underway. Vakos boots this one right down the seam, a long kick out the back of the end zone. And out comes Fernando Mendoza in the Indiana offense. Nick, quickly, your first half takeaways.
Wisconsin's leaning on its playmakers on both sides of the ball, and particularly the linebacker tandem, Mason Posa and Cooper Catalano, two highly touted freshmen, and highly touted for very good reason. They led Wisconsin to its win over Washington a week ago, and they're continuing to make plays. Mendoza's been sacked 3 times. Indiana hasn't been able to run the football as a team.
Mendoza in the first half. The stats don't tell the whole story. 11 for 13, 139 yards, the lone touchdown, a 31-yarder to Charlie Becker. Kalon Black in the backfield right behind Mendoza in the shotgun, now motions to his right hip. Mendoza claps his hands. Run play, up the middle. Black bounces it out left, and he can't get there. Sealing the edge, Deone Hill. The defensive back has 3 tackles for a loss this season, and that's another right there, a loss of 1 back to the 24-yard line.
Hill, a defensive back, up on the line of scrimmage, and Kalon Black is a very physical runner. He's tough to bring down, but Hill got him by the ankles and tripped him up.
Indiana moving quick as always. Same formation as the last. 2 receivers down to the bottom. That's E.J. Williams, the one nearest to the sideline. Omar Cooper Jr. right above him. Run play, same spot. Black going, trying to get to the 30-yard line. He is stuffed after a pickup of 2. Guess who it is? Deone Hill once again.
And you hear these Indiana fans, they're booing. Indiana, we talked about it just before this second half got underway. 16 carries, 22 yards, 1.5 yards per rush. That's just not going to get it done.
So now 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 8. The ball is at the 26-yard line. They got to get all the way to the 35. Mendoza, shotgun formation. Charlie Becker, the only receiver up top. Cooper Jr. and Williams at the bottom. Pass play, Mendoza well protected, steps up, going for a bomb down the seam, has Becker caught at the 35. He's tackled by the last man to beat at the 24. Austin Brown made the tackle, Charlie Becker made the catch, and you can't place it any better than that from the Heisman favorite Fernando Mendoza. That is exactly what Indiana needed.
So much confidence, so much poise. It's been the theme of the year for Indiana. Every time Mendoza and this offense face adversity, they respond. A huge throw on 3rd and 8 when they had to have it.
A 48-yard completion on 3rd and 9, and don't look now, but Indiana's at the Wisconsin 25-yard line. Kalon Black in the backfield. Indiana stacks the receivers, kind of a bunch look up top, along with the tight end Nowakowski. Mendoza takes the snap, run play in between the tackles to Black, picks up about 3, now fights his way forward. They give him 3.5 up to the 22-yard line of Wisconsin. 2nd and 7 coming up. Brandon Lane Jr. made the stop.
And if you're Indiana, you're okay with 3 yards, 4 yards on 1st and 10 because your longest carry has been just 7 yards today. If you have some semblance of a run game, it opens up the pass game for Mendoza.
We'll see if Indiana stays on the ground here. They did the first second down of this drive. 2nd and 6 from the 21. Becker up top. Omar Cooper Jr. down low. Run play, this time right side of the near sideline. Hemby cuts it up the middle. Inside the 20, inside the 15. A first down carry, for Roman Hemby and move the chains. This is the Indiana offense we're used to seeing, able to attack a defense, exploit their weaknesses every single play. Indiana, 1st and 10 from the 14. What a drive this could be to just kind of settle down the crowd and especially the offense to kick off the second half. Shotgun formation. Look out for Becker. He's on one-on-one up top. Cooper Jr. at the bottom. Play action. Cooper Jr. complete at the 7. He's dragged down after a pickup of what looks to be 5 yards by Hill. Successful first down play inside the red zone for the Hoosiers, one of the best teams in the country in the red area. 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go in quarter number 2. 10-7 Indiana lead, knocking on the door of going up by 2 scores.
Surprised Indiana hasn't gotten Omar Cooper involved more. I think that might be his first target of this game. It's certainly his first reception.
See if Indiana can execute. E.J. Williams, the lone man to the near sideline. Shotgun formation, Hemby in the backfield. Williams comes bunch set on the motion. Run play up the middle. Hemby diving for the goal line. He gets to the 2. That's enough for a first down for Indiana. Roman Hemby had a ton of room right off the right tackle. Fernando Mendoza shoots up, tells the offense to move quick. This is the fastest they've gotten set at the line of scrimmage so far. Mendoza in the shotgun. 1st and goal from the 3. Run play up the middle. Hemby trying to fight his way in. He can't get there. Stopped at about the 2-yard line, a pickup of 1. In on the tackle, JVR Suggs, the grad defensive tackle.
And a great job there by Wisconsin. It looked like they got beat at the line of scrimmage, but the linebackers did a great job of rallying to the ball. Hemby was tripped up, and he could not get to the end zone.
2nd and goal from the 2. Indiana brings in the jumbo set. They huddle. Mendoza breaks the huddle. Wisconsin a little bit late getting onto the field. I formation for the Hoosiers. Mendoza. Play action, drops back, looking for the far pylon, touchdown, Holden Stays. Indiana goes to the play action, and it works right down the field on the first drive of the second half. It's 16-7 Hoosiers.
And you think back to that big 3rd down completion from Mendoza to Charlie Becker. It was 3rd and 8. Mendoza rips it up the seam. And then right there, Indiana took a page out of Wisconsin's playbook. Remember, the Hoosiers were selling it out on the run. Wisconsin dunked it out for 45 yards over the top. Right there, play action frees up Stays. Pitch and catch to the tight end.
9 plays, 75 yards, just under 5 minutes off the clock. That's the type of drive that the number 2 scoring offense in the country is accustomed to seeing. Radicic out there for the PAT. Snap is down. Nico bangs it home. And a 10-point lead for Indiana. 10:19 to go in the 3rd quarter. A sigh of relief from the Hoosier faithful. And Nick, your takeaways on just getting back on schedule on that drive.
I think it's really important for Indiana to do just that. I mean, now you're averaging over 2 yards a carry, but before that drive, you were averaging under 1.5. And the first couple of downs, the run game had nothing. And that says a lot about Curt Cignetti's confidence in Fernando Mendoza, that he lets him rip it 40, 50 yards up the field on 3rd and 8, deep in your own territory. And a great job by Becker, too, running under that football, making the catch, and surviving the hit. And that's a play that really could define the outcome of this game, because if Indiana goes 3 and out, Wisconsin gets the ball down 3 points. Instead, now the Badgers are down by 10. It's a 2-score game and a chance for Indiana to bring out some exotic looks, because defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes loves to mix things up, and we'll see if the true freshman in Carter Smith can respond.
Well, we'll see if Smith and Wisconsin can respond and keep this a tight one when we come back. 17-7, Indiana leads Wisconsin. You're listening to WIUX 99.1, your home for Hoosier Sports. Back here in Bloomington, Indiana goes right down the field after getting the ball to start the second half. A 9-play drive over 70 yards and a touchdown for the tight end Holden Stays, just his 2nd of 2025. And IU up by 10 over Wisconsin. Alongside Nick Rodecap, I'm Luke Brenneman. Nick, Indiana, the defense looked good in the first half outside of one tough drive. Wisconsin went 80 yards. It was a Mason touchdown on a 4th and inches play that ended up being a 32-yard touchdown. Walk me through Indiana's game plan here now in the second half.
The Hoosiers are going to have to get pressure on quarterback Carter Smith, because he's shown that, well, he's a freshman, so handling pressure can be a challenge at times. But if you get them into 3rd and 4th and short, they're showing they're willing to make you bite on the run and then dump it over the top. We'll see if Indiana can adjust here in the second half.
Vinny Anthony catches the kick at the goal line. He's going to bring it out. Anthony cuts it back up, has a hole, back towards the middle of the field, in between the hashes, up to the 36-yard line. Amari Farrell made the tackle, and that could have been a touchdown-saving tackle.
Amari Farrell just saved a 100-yard kick return touchdown. Vinny Anthony could have broken that one all the way.
So out for the first time in the second half of play, the freshman, just his second career start, the quarterback for Wisconsin, Carter Smith. Remember, Smith in the win over Washington last week was a whopping 3 for 12 with 8 passing yards, was sacked twice, and a quarterback rating of 30.6. He's had a nice first half. Smith 7 for 11, 91 yards, and a touchdown, trailing by 10 to the number 2 team in the country. 17-7 Indiana. Smith in the shotgun to start the drive. First offensive possession for the Badgers in the second half. It starts at their own 34. Atuka in the backfield, pass play. Smith drops back, has time, rolls out right, dumps it off, complete at the 31. Fighting forward, right back to the line of scrimmage at the 34. Was Atuka. Gideon Atuka, the running back, went out in the flat. He was originally in pass protection. In on the tackle, Devin Boykin had some help from Elijah Hardy as well. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Nobody open downfield there for Smith. You could see all his receivers turned, and he had no targets to throw to, so wise to check it down, but didn't gain anything from it.
Atuka stays in the backfield after the first down completion for no gain. Smith brings a man in motion. Jet sweep play. Gives it to the wide receiver. That's Vinny Anthony. Cuts it up towards the 40-yard line. Dives down after a pickup of 6 yards. And that's a good gain for Wisconsin. Brings up 3rd and 4 at their own 40-yard line.
Anthony really shifty there. Made a nice cut just past the line of scrimmage and picked up 6 yards. 3rd and manageable for Wisconsin, and this might be 4-down territory because Luke Fickell has kept the offense out on the field already this afternoon.
Would not be surprised if we see the Badgers try and run the football in a situation like this. Remember, Smith is just making his 2nd start as a quarterback in college football. Here comes the Bloomington crowd on senior day. 3rd and 4, trying to get to the 44-yard line. 2 running backs in the backfield. Smith in the shotgun. He takes the snap. Hands it off. Atuka walloped in the backfield. A loss of 3. Kamara, Jones, everybody in on the stop, as well as Mario Landino laying the final boom. And there's an injured offensive lineman down at the 40-yard line for Wisconsin. An obvious punting situation. A huge stop there for the Indiana defense.
And Indiana sent the house. They were showing the blitz pre-snap. They brought it. And it ended up being a run play, I believe, but there was just absolutely nothing. There was nothing there for Wisconsin trying to run off the right side, and Indiana did a great job rallying to the ball carrier, picking up the TFL, and now, if you're Luke Fickell, you're going to have to bring the punt team out because it's 4th and 7 from your own 37-yard line.
All kinds of medical attention down on the field. They're motioning to the sidelines to bring out some sort of cart. And here it comes. We'll step aside on WIUX. Wisconsin punt coming up after the injured Badger. We hope can be all right. 17-7 Indiana lead, 8:35 to go in quarter number 3. You're listening to WIUX Sports, your home for Hoosier Sports. We welcome you back to Bloomington, a sight that nobody likes to see. All the players coming off the Wisconsin sideline to give a pat on the back to their star running back, Gideon Atuka. The Cameroon native was buried for a loss of 3 yards and simply never got up. He has his head strapped in, his entire body being escorted out of the stadium on a cart as he lays on a stretcher. We give our thoughts and prayers to Atuka. This has just been simply a bad season for Wisconsin. You look back to the start of the year, their projected starters, we know that doesn't really matter too much as the season progresses, but the injury bug. Their projected starters coming into this ball game have missed 44 combined games in the 2025 season, and now your leading rusher Atuka, who ran for 4 yards a carry, 73 yards in the win over Washington last week, has been impactful here in Bloomington. He looks to be done for a significant amount of time. 8:35 to go. Indiana up on Wisconsin 17-7. Wisconsin has their punting unit on the field on 4th and 7. Back to receive for Indiana, the senior Jonathan Brady. Sean West, the punter. They faked one last week. We'll see if they're going to do it again here. Good snap. West booms it away. A high line drive kick. Caught at the 14 by Brady. He's going to return it. Coming to the near sideline, now beyond the 20. Up the 25, cuts it up the middle, runs into a line of Wisconsin Gunners at the 31, and down goes Brady. A 16-yard return for the Indiana return man, Jonathan Brady, one of the seniors that walked today pregame on Senior Day. So Indiana now, after scoring to open up the second half, they get the football right back on a 3-and-out. And Mendoza and company looking to kind of run away with this one in the third quarter.
If you're Indiana, this is where you try to open the game up. You know, you stopped Wisconsin on its first possession of the second half, and now you have a chance to go up potentially by 17 points here in Bloomington. You're testing this Wisconsin defense again. We've seen Mendoza take some shots. I wonder if he does it again.
1st and 10 at the Indiana 32. The freshman running back Kobe Martin into the game. He's on the left hip of Mendoza. Gets the ball up the middle. Martin gets about 5 yards, pushed forward by a Wisconsin defensive lineman for a pickup of 4. That was Darrell Peterson on the tackle. The Indiana rushing attack is truly a three-headed snake. The stats don't tell you the whole story because Hemby and Black get the ball really when it matters most. But this team is averaging over 40 points a game. They've blown out so many opponents that Kobe Martin has 5 touchdowns as well. Martin stays in the game. 2 receivers up top. E.J. Williams, the lone man, towards the near sideline. Mendoza claps his hands together. Pass play on 2nd down. Looks left. Now under pressure. Rolling out right down goes Fernando Mendoza. The sack came from Darrell Peterson. He's been all over the place, and that brings up 3rd and long for Indiana.
That is Peterson's 3rd sack of the game. He led Wisconsin with 4.5 sacks 2 years ago, but had just 1 before this game kicked off, and he's responsible now for 3 of the Badgers' 4 sacks.
There are simply missed assignments right now on the Indiana offensive line. Peterson was a free rusher, and Mendoza had no other choice but to take the 8-yard sack. It's now 3rd and 16. Mendoza, pass play, drops back, well protected, rifles one, near sideline, complete to Williams Jr. at the 39. That looks to be about 2.5 yards short of the line to gain, and it's decision time for the Indiana offense.
And it looks like they're bringing the punt team out again. The fans are not going to be happy.
When you're up by 10, and we've seen what's been going on with Texas A&M today, down by 3 or more scores at halftime, you maybe don't want to risk giving Wisconsin good field position with the way Indiana and their defense has played so far. And Cignetti, just what he did in the second quarter, will punt it away at their own 40 in a 4th and 2-yard situation. Mitch McCarthy goes out there. He boots this one. A good punt. Brings the return man Ballard back. He catches at the 11. 2 return. Makes Isaiah Jones miss. Bounces off another up to the 24. 13-yard return for Wisconsin. And they get the ball right back. Their defense really keeping the Badgers in this game. That takes us to a media timeout. Wisconsin and the offense back on the field trying to get this right back to a 1-score game in Bloomington. 17-7 IU lead. We'll be right back on 99.1 Bloomington. The Wisconsin Badgers are staying competitive into the second half in Bloomington. IU leads Wisconsin 17-7 with 6 minutes and 19 seconds to play in the third quarter. We welcome you back to our WIUX press box on top of Memorial Stadium. Alongside Nick Rodecap, I'm Luke Brenneman. Another chance for this Wisconsin offense to try and get something going. Only 1 scoring drive so far, but it was magnificent. 8 plays, 79 yards, took over 4 minutes off the clock. If they could get one of those right here, they would have the number 2 team in the country in Indiana on the ropes come the fourth quarter. Drive starts at their own 22. In the backfield, Darion Dupree. Remember, the starting running back, Atuka, was just carted off the field in the opening drive of the second half for Wisconsin. Run play to Dupree. He runs into an Indiana backer. That's Fisher driving up to the 25-yard line. A nice, tough run from Dupree. Picks up 4.
And Dupree, nearly 50 carries on the season, averaging about 3.5 yards per carry, which you'll take if you're Wisconsin. They've run the ball 22 times, while Smith has attempted just 12 passes. Ground heavy, and they're staying with that here.
The game plan for Wisconsin all week was slow this game down, make it to a point like this under 6 minutes in the second half where you truly have a chance to get after Indiana. This drive would go a long way. 2nd and 6 from the 25. Receiver comes in motion, run play to Dupree. He tries to bounce it outside, and he's dropped for a loss of 3. All of the Indiana secondary in on that one. And they also had some help from Stephen Daly. He set the edge, the defensive end, in contain, and did his job. The running back Dupree ran right into him, 3rd and 10 coming up, and here comes the crowd.
Stephen Daly's done a great job of stepping up, thrust into that starting role as an edge rusher with Kellen Wyatt out for the season. He's got double-digit TFLs this year.
Line of scrimmage is the 22. Wisconsin has to get to the 32. Dupree in the backfield. Smith takes the snap. He keeps it, a QB keeper, and Daly made another play. The ball's out. Indiana signaling that they have it. They do! Daly making plays all over the place, and the Hoosiers turn over the Badgers inside their own 25. Indiana football.
And well, Luke, Indiana sent the house again. They've done that time and time again against Wisconsin's Carter Smith. A freshman quarterback sees all those rushers in his face, and he's going to freak out. He would not have gotten much even if he did not fumble the football. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage, but it's worse because now you fumble inside your own red zone, and Indiana's got a chance to really open this one up.
Daly forced the fumble. Hosea Wheeler recovered the fumble, and Fernando Mendoza and the offense is right back out there in business. First turnover of the game in Bloomington. 17-7 IU lead, 4:52 to go in the third quarter. This could be the turning point in this game that has kind of been a nail-biter for number 2 ranked Indiana fans. Mendoza in the shotgun. They bring E.J. Williams across the formation to the near side. Play action. Fernando drops back all kinds of time. Over the middle, complete to Nowakowski. Inside the 10. Fighting his way inside the 5. Touchdown, Riley Nowakowski. The Wisconsin transfer gets revenge on the Badgers and scores 6 for the Hoosiers on senior day. 23-7 IU.
Riley Nowakowski refused to be tackled right there. 1, he got grabbed by his face mask. 2, he had about 3 defenders right in front of him and just bulldozed through all of them. A physical run for Nowakowski. Wow.
Mendoza now has 3 touchdown throws on the day. His stat line is impeccable, and Indiana has gotten things going in the third quarter. Radicic out there for the PAT. Snap is down, kick is up and through. 24-7 IU leads Wisconsin. Riley Nowakowski punches it in. He's had a nice game. Just another Hoosier receiver who continues to get better week after week.
Well, Nowakowski had a big role to play against Penn State. You think about that game-winning drive Fernando Mendoza led. Nowakowski up the seam, 25-plus yard completion. That was the deepest target of his career, and it's clear you see it here this afternoon as well. Indiana's getting more comfortable getting Nowakowski involved in the passing game, and when he's as physical of a runner as he is, 6'1", 250 pounds, why not, you know? And it's paying off for the Hoosiers.
Indiana sending the kickoff group out there, and Wisconsin, they did everything they could in the first half. Down 10-7 at the break. Everyone's saying maybe an upset watch in Bloomington. They're kind of pacing around the crowd, the press box. Indiana fans very calm, saying we're a second-half team, really going to get things going, and they have. The first touchdown drive from the offense, the defense turns over the quarterback Carter Smith and company, and then all it took was just Mendoza, a dink and dunk to the tight end, and Nowakowski did the rest. Quinn Warren, the interim kickoff guy, while Brendan Franke is still out with an injury, tees it up and sends it away. High kick. This one's going to go out the back of the end zone for a touchback. And Smith, after fumbling on 3rd and long the previous drive, is tasked with getting some points on the board here because it's becoming do or die for the Badgers.
And this is where, if you're a young quarterback in this spot, it feels like it might snowball on you a little bit, and you cannot let that happen. If nothing else, you just got to move the ball. And we saw Wisconsin kind of leaning on the running game. They use that jet motion. They use end arounds a lot of misdirection in the backfield. You've got to find a way to get your freshman quarterback settled back down.
Wisconsin offense so far this year, averaging just 12.5 points per game. Talked about the quarterback struggles. 4 or more Badgers have attempted 10 or more pass attempts on the season. That is awfully rare in a conference like this. Luke Fickell and this staff has been tasked with managing the impossible. 1st and 10 from the 25. Run play up the middle. Breaking a tackle is Dupree. He's quickly dragged down at the 26. A gain of just 1.5 on first down. Dominique Radcliffe originally had Dupree and then just held on to him.
Dupree probably getting the bulk of the carries here with Gideon Atuka having to be carted off. You never want to see that, but Indiana probably selling out on the run, you would think, and forcing Smith to beat them through the air.
Offensive line for Wisconsin, just another group that have been injury-plagued this entire year. They started 3 freshmen in their game against Maryland. That's the first time Wisconsin's done that since 2015. Dupree in the backfield. Shotgun formation for Smith. Pass play, drops back, looks right, all kinds of time. Now dances to the near sideline, throws on the run, complete. Up to the 34, and tackled right there is Jaden Ballard. It is inches short of a first down. It's going to bring up 3rd and inches.
Well, and right there, Smith, again, had nobody open downfield. His receivers are not getting any separation. And by the time he realizes that, he's flushed from the pocket. So it's an impossible situation. And now on 3rd and 1, it's difficult if you're Smith, because either you're going to run it or you're going to try to go through the air. There hasn't been a lot of success in either way.
Indiana defense fires up the crowd. Wisconsin moving quick on 3rd and 1. Handoff up the middle. Stuffed. A loss of a yard from the Indiana front. Everybody beat their man. And back to the 34-yard line on the Dupree rush goes Wisconsin. Looked like Landino was in there. Daly once again. Tyreek Tucker, the nose tackle. All of those guys just walling up. And is Wisconsin actually going to punt here, Nick?
You're too deep in your own territory. You saw what happened when you turned it over at the 21. You're up to the 34, but if you turn it over in plus territory, you're basically waving the white flag. So Wisconsin tries to flip the field. You've got the wind at your back, and at the very least, you can pin Indiana pretty deep.
The return man for the Hoosiers, Jonathan Brady, is back at the Indiana 11-yard line. The punter is Sean West. And a timeout before the play from Wisconsin and Luke Fickell. Now you start thinking a little bit, because if you're going to burn a timeout, you may be saying we need this first down.
Part of me wonders if Wisconsin was setting up for a fake punt right there, because they gained a first down by faking a punt last weekend against Washington, and that was what set them up to win that game in a lot of ways. Part of me wonders if maybe Luke Fickell was thinking about that. It doesn't look like they're going to bring the offense back onto the field, but 4th and less than a yard is a punt fake situation, so Indiana's got to be wary of that here.
So Fickell has to call a timeout on 4th and about 2 feet just to send the punt unit back out there. 2:35 to go in the 3rd quarter. Indiana up 24-7. Sean West does a big leg kick, warming up the right boot. Brady back to return at the 10-yard line. Beware of the fake punt. The Badgers have done it before. West takes the snap, and he's going to punt it. Punt high down the seam. Brady calls for a fair catch. He did catch it at the 24-yard line. So Indiana, they go 3 and out. A fantastic defensive 3rd quarter so far for the Hoosiers. And Fernando Mendoza and the rest of this offense, they're red hot right now, trying to go up by 3 scores.
Well, Carter Smith had 91 passing yards in the first half. We're almost at the end of the 3rd quarter, and he's only added 7 yards to that total. You figured Indiana was going to make adjustments at halftime. Very well coached, very disciplined, very poised, handling adversity well. They've done it again so far, and you wonder if maybe this is where Cignetti sort of leans on the ground game and starts to try to run some clock. Indiana tends to do that in these games that are 2-score, 3-score games late in the 3rd quarter.
Indiana rushing today, 21 attempts, 35 yards. That's less than 2 yards per carry. Hemby in the backfield. Mendoza claps his hands together, takes the snap. Run play to Hemby in between the guards. Up the middle, up to the 24. Now pushed forward by his offensive lineman to the 26. A 6-yard pickup on first down. Mason Posa made the tackle.
And it all sounds like coach speak, but it's true. You have to win at the line of scrimmage. That was one of Indiana's best reps as an offensive line unit. I'm noticing Khalil Benson no longer at right tackle. Zen Michalski is in there. We saw Benson banged up earlier in this game.
Michalski, an Ohio State transfer, expected to play when coming to Indiana, was beat out by the Colorado transfer, Benson. 2nd and 3 from the 26. Run play to Hemby up the middle. He's right at the sticks, then dragged backwards. He's going to be a few feet short. That'll bring up 3rd down. Posa in there along with Catalano and the tackles for the Badgers. They do move the chains. How about the spot that Indiana just got?
That's a very favorable spot. I'm with you, Luke. I thought that he was short there. It would have been 3rd and 1, maybe 3rd and a short 2. Instead, Indiana gets the favorable spot. It's a first down. Maybe now you take a shot. Keep your eye out for it.
Clock winds under 90 seconds in the 3rd quarter. Indiana's already scored 2 touchdowns through 14 minutes of this frame. Mendoza in the shotgun, claps his hands together. Roman Hemby in the backfield. Mendoza checks the play at the line of scrimmage to his offensive line. 2 receivers up top. Run play, left side, outside the tackles. Hemby cuts it up to the 36 and is dropped after another first down pickup of 6 yards. 2nd and 4 coming up for the Hoosiers at their own 36.
And here you see Indiana leading on that ground game. The offensive line is getting much more push now than it was at the start of this game.
Thomas Heiberger, the redshirt freshman, in on the tackle. Wisconsin plays so many freshmen. We spotlighted their linebacker duo of Cooper Catalano and Mason Posa, both freshmen who combined for 40 tackles last week in the win against Washington. A couple turnovers in there as well. Freshman running back for Indiana, Kobe Martin, in the backfield. 2nd and 4 from the 36. Play action. Mendoza rolls out right, checks it down to the flat. Complete to E.J. Williams Jr. He kept his foot in bounds at the 50-yard line. A 14-yard pitch and catch to E.J. Williams on the QB bootleg. And Indiana will move the chains. That'll take us to the 4th quarter here in Bloomington. A shaky start.
Mendoza loves those quick out routes, and that's kind of his go-to with E.J. Williams. He gets to about 7-8 yards downfield and just sits, gets toward the boundary. Did a great job getting his feet in bounds there as well because the sideline was sneaking up on him. But Indiana fans, I'm sure, as the 3rd quarter draws to a close, feeling a little bit more at ease after the Hoosiers outscored Wisconsin 14-0 coming out of halftime.
Crowd still full in effect. 24-7 after 3 quarters. Indiana wins this 3rd quarter by 2 touchdowns. Don't go anywhere. It's a beautiful day in Bloomington, Senior Day. You're listening to Indiana and Wisconsin football on WIUX 99.1. 5 years ago, who would have thought, come the middle of November, that Bloomington, Indiana would be a football utopia? Mr. Brightside plays from the loudspeakers here at Memorial Stadium. Indiana leads Wisconsin 24-7. IU has been ranked number 2 for the 4th consecutive week, trying to get to 11-0 for the first time in program history. Welcome you into our press box alongside Nick Rodecap. I'm Luke Brenneman for WIUX Sports. IU football right at the 50-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Hoosiers, trying to run away in a rout against Wisconsin. 70 degrees in mid-November. It doesn't get more euphoric than this. If you're an Indiana student, there is a plethora of, I would say, 150 shirtless men in the student section waving their towels, supporting the Hoosiers. 1st and 10 from the 50. Mendoza in the shotgun. Kobe Martin, the back, right off his left hip. 2 receivers down to the near side, nobody up top. Run play to Martin, up the middle. He finds a hole, bounces it up to the 44-yard line, pushed down after a first down pickup of 6 yards. Agard in on the tackle.
And believe it or not, Kobe Martin rushing for 6 yards actually brings down his season average. Over 50 carries, 7 yards per carry on the year. He's a redshirt freshman, and he's got such a bright future for Indiana. Makes sense that he's getting first-team reps here.
2nd and 5 from the 44. Mendoza motions Martin to his left hip. Fernando takes the snap, another run play out right. Martin fights forward, runs over a defender, picks up 3 to the 41. He's going to be a yard short of the line to gain. 3rd and 1 coming up for Indiana.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana keeps the ball on the ground here, Luke, because this is where Curt Cignetti likes to run the clock and control possession to, in his words, end the game as fast as possible. You're up 24-7, first minute in the 4th quarter. Probably keeping it on the ground here. I would kind of be surprised if they throw it.
Now in week 11, the injury bug is going around. Really good teams have been battled. Indiana just trying to get to the bye week. 3rd and 1 from the shotgun. Mendoza. Martin still in the game. Hands it off to Kobe Martin. The redshirt freshman bounces across the first down yardage to the 39. A pickup of 3, and that's all he needed. 1st down Indiana. Darrell Peterson made the tackle.
And Indiana continuing to keep it on the ground. And Fernando Mendoza has been so efficient when Indiana has gone through the air. He's got more touchdown passes than incomplete passes. And quite frankly, that's absurd against this Wisconsin defense. It took him a little bit to get it figured out for the Indiana offense. The rushing attack still a little bit slow, but picking up steam here in the 4th quarter.
Indiana slowing everything down. They huddle for one of the first times today. 1st and 10 from the 40. Mendoza, handoff to Martin in between the guards. He dives forward, picks up about 2 yards, maybe 1.5. 2nd and 9 coming up. Nice play by Tackett Curtis. to seal the interior for Wisconsin. 12:55 to go, final quarter of play between Indiana and Wisconsin. Indiana up by 17. It's 24-7. Interesting week this week in college football. Alabama, Oklahoma later tonight. We've been seeing what's been going on in College Station. Texas A&M getting blown out by one win in the SEC, South Carolina. For now, it's 2nd and 9 in Bloomington. Mendoza to pass, throws it out, far sideline, complete to Nowakowski at the 35-yard line. A nice tackle by Mason Posa. 3rd and 5 will come up for the Indiana offense right at the 35-yard line of the Badgers.
And it's so important for Indiana that they were able to make those halftime adjustments, because with South Carolina blowing out Texas A&M, the Hoosiers making a clear case for number 2. Some people had A&M above them in this week's CFP rankings.
Indiana in a 3rd and medium situation here from the 36-yard line. Mendoza in the shotgun. He will throw. Looks left, pumps left, under pressure, steps up, avoids a rusher. Now Fernando's going to run, and he is sacked at the 40-yard line. That's Cooper Catalano, the freshman, and he's firing up the Bloomington crowds. Got some words at a 44 in white, and you wouldn't have to think that may have just put Indiana out of field goal range. It would be a 57-yard attempt.
Mendoza, that's 5 sacks today, 8 in the last 2 games, and he's a veteran. He ran for his life, was sacked 41 times, most in the FBS last year at Cal. You'd think he'd know to at least throw the ball away, but he tried to scramble, and he probably shouldn't have. Now Indiana's going to punt from the plus 39, and it's up to Mitch McCarthy here to dunk this one down inside the 10.
Back to return is Jaden Ballard. McCarthy punts from the Indiana 48, and he shanked it. A squibbing punt drifts out of bounds at about the 15-yard line. They're going to officially mark it up towards the 20, actually.
So you gain 19 yards on the punt? Yikes.
Not a go-for-it situation, but just awkward field position brings you back to Mendoza taking the sack. We'll step aside in Bloomington. 24-7 IU. 11 minutes to play at Memorial Stadium. We'll be right back on 99.1. Wisconsin trying to fight their way back into this one here in Bloomington. It's 24-7 Indiana. 10:58 to go in the 4th quarter. Alongside Nick Rodecap, I'm Luke Brenneman. Kind of was back and forth, a rugged defensive clinic in the first half. Indiana opened it up with 2 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter. And the Badgers are back out there after forcing an IU punt in Wisconsin territory. Carter Smith, a freshman QB, originally a baseball player, and started this 2025 season on the Washington practice group as a quarterback, is now the man in charge of the offense for the Badgers in Week 11. Smith will keep it on a QB keeper on 1st down, fights his way up to the 25-yard line. That's a nice pickup of 5 yards for the freshman quarterback. Smith ran it 15 times last week against Washington for 47 yards.
And we saw Fernando Mendoza take a sack on 3rd down. Bad news for Indiana fans. Mendoza is in the medical tent. Looks like he was a little bit slow to get up, but didn't favor anything. Definitely something to keep an eye on, though. And I'll tell you what, this bye week next week cannot get here fast enough for Indiana.
Wisconsin, 2nd and 6 from their own 24, trailing by 17. Smith. Awkward trickery play. They hand it off to the tight end, Mason. He's streaking down the near sideline. Enough for the 1st down, pushed out of bounds by Aiden Fisher at the 36. The Badgers have had to go deep into their bag of these kind of double reverse, flip, pitch, QB keeper-esque plays. That time it worked again for a 1st down.
With Indiana trying to bleed clock, time is not on your side. 10 minutes left in this 4th quarter. You're down 24-7. Wisconsin needs a score, and they need it fast at this point.
Darion Dupree is in the backfield off the right hip on 1st and 10 at the 31 for Wisconsin. Smith takes the snap, all kinds of time to pass. He pumps it, throws, far side. It's picked off! Picked off! Ryland Gandy made the play, and I think my partner Nick Rodecap could have made it.
Yeah, it was a bad throw by Carter Smith. He was dropping back on the right hash and trying to throw outside the numbers on the left side of the field, and he never tried to move the defender with his eyes. Devin Boykin was camped underneath, kind of hanging out in the flat, and I don't think Carter Smith ever saw him. All Boykin had to do was put his arms out and make a basket catch, let the ball hit him in the pads, and Indiana's got the ball. just about at midfield, and that might be the dagger. Mentioned that Fernando Mendoza was in the medical tent. It was a very brief stay, and good news for Indiana is that he is in the huddle for Indiana's offense with a chance to put this game away. But if you're Curt Cignetti, I bet the number one thing you tell him, you cannot take another hit because he's taken 5 sacks already. Clearly it's taking a toll.
Boykin with the interception. The IU defense just turns everybody over. Indiana takes over at the Wisconsin 48-yard line. Mendoza motions the tight end Nowakowski across the formation. Shotgun formation, Hemby in the backfield. Run play to Hemby up the middle. He makes a couple miss with a stutter step, gets inside the 35, or excuse me, the 45. A pickup of 5 yards to the 44. Jameer Latimer II and Emilio Agard made the tackle.
And it's clear that Wisconsin's defense is standing stout. Cignetti wants to run the clock out in these situations, but at some point I feel like you're going to have to take through the air because Wisconsin, they're getting to Fernando Mendoza, and you cannot afford an injury to your Heisman candidate quarterback at any point in the season.
He has a Heisman stat line today, is now the odds-on favorite at minus money to win the trophy right now. 2nd and 6. Mendoza hands it off to Hemby. He bounces it way outside of the far sideline, has room, gets a block, spins inside the 35, and a flag comes down back near the line of scrimmage. This baby's coming back.
Yeah, Zen Mahalski, the right guard, may have grabbed somebody outside the pads, and the defender was trying to turn. Mahalski set the edge, and he did not release his defender. So I think they got Bray Lynch for the hold, but either way, it was on the right side of the line of scrimmage, and that erases one of the longest rushes of the game for Indiana.
So Indiana will go back into Hoosier territory. The ball is getting marked at the Indiana 46. Replay 2nd down. It'll be 2nd and 16. 8:57 to go in the 3rd quarter of play.
If you're Wisconsin, do you take a shot on defense here? Because you can force Indiana into 3rd and a mile if you do.
Wisconsin defense has hung in there. Second half, they've looked a little bit lackluster, but they're going against the Heisman favorite. Mendoza, screen pass. That's Brady. He bounces it outside. Jonathan Brady to the far sideline inside the Wisconsin 45. That is exactly what Indiana wanted on 2nd and long. A pickup of 12 or 13 to bring up 3rd and manageable. Corey Walker made the tackle.
And Luke, right there, you saw Wisconsin take a shot. They sent 7 or 8 guys, and Indiana called a screen pass, used the aggression against the Badgers. Now you make it 3rd and 5 when it was 2nd and 16. That's a big play.
Could really staple the Badgers right here. IU up by 17, 8 minutes and 15 seconds to play. These are the downs that Indiana has won all season. Hemby in the backfield. 3rd and 4 from the Wisconsin 43. Pass play, Mendoza. Under pressure, steps up, stiff arms a man, throw on the run, complete for the 1st down to the 34. E.J. Williams Jr. came back to his quarterback, and Mendoza put it on him.
And Williams looks like he's getting up a little gimpy. He's going to hobble to the sideline, but oh man, this Indiana, the injuries just keep stacking up. Mendoza, though, did a great job stepping up through the pressure. Williams presented the target in the flat underneath, but Williams hobbling off to the sideline, and he is going to take a seat.
Mendoza continuing to push for this Heisman campaign. 3 touchdowns through the air, tied the single-season passing touchdown record at Indiana with his 3rd of the day. Run play on 1st and 10 to Kobe Martin. He's swallowed in the backfield. A pickup of 2, and Omar Cooper Jr. is getting into it with Jameer Latimer II at the far hash. Cooper was pushed down, got up, gave him a jab to the face mask. No laundry on the field. Things are getting chippy under 7 minutes. Indiana will huddle. Gotta think at this point, Nick, you're up by 17. The Hoosier Daddy chants are coming out from the student section. You know, take these guys out of the game. Get to your bye week, and then go to rivalry week with a chance to play in the Big Ten championship.
I think you need a score first to do it, and that's why the first teamers are still out there.
Mendoza. 2nd and 6, takes the snap, drops back, all kinds of time. Looking for Cooper Jr., has him at the 15. Omar at the 5, pushed out of bounds at the 2. Fernando found Omar Cooper Jr. streaking across the middle of the field, and Indiana has goal to go at the 3-yard line. Curtis Rourke is currently tied with Fernando Mendoza with the most single-season passing touchdowns in Indiana University program history. Mendoza now with 29 on the year, has 1st and goal from the 3 to potentially break it. He leads the FBS in total touchdowns individually this season. Fernando takes the snap, hands it off, and a loss of 2. Out of nowhere, eating up the Indiana rusher Martin was Charles Perkins and Thomas Heiberger.
Just instant penetration at the line of scrimmage there by Wisconsin. Once Hemby got the handoff from Mendoza, there was nowhere he could go. He had defenders on either side, and that's a big stop for the Badgers on 1st and goal because Indiana was inside the 2-yard line.
Well, everybody who has a ticket on Mendoza win the Heisman kind of likes it because maybe a passing down here. 5:30 to go, 24-7 Indiana over Wisconsin. 2nd and goal from the 5. Cooper Jr. comes in motion at the bottom, and he got it. A pass play to Omar Cooper Jr. wide open in the flat on the pylon, and Omar gets in for the 2nd consecutive week and now has 10 touchdowns on the year. That's number 1 in the Big Ten, 30-7 Hoosiers.
And right there, Wisconsin sent the blitz again, and they've sent the house a lot, but Mendoza did a great job, just kept backpedaling. Cooper was open on a quick out route, and Mendoza hit him right between the numbers.
Just like that, Fernando Mendoza, 30 passing touchdowns in 2025, and he leads all of Indiana history, number 1 in program history. Radicic bangs the extra point home, 31-7 Hoosiers, a rout in the second half.
And Curtis Rourke, I'm sure, is thinking, you couldn't let me have my record for a little longer. He set it against Purdue last year and has it broken less than a year later. That's the kind of season Fernando Mendoza is having, and that's going to pretty much ice this game if you're Wisconsin. 5.5 minutes on the clock, but you are trailing by 24 points. And how about Mendoza? 22 of 24. That's 92% completion. 299, 4 touchdowns. So twice as many touchdowns as incompletions in this game. In a day where Indiana's rushing attack really hasn't had it, Mendoza has carried the load, and he's done it well. This is going to be a very happy bye week for Indiana because they get to get healthy, and Mendoza continues to make his case as the best player in college football.
A dominant second half has put Indiana in runaway fashion over Wisconsin. 5:21 to go. Stick around. We'll be right back on WIUX, your home for Hoosier Sports. Back here in B-Town, 31-7. Indiana has beaten Wisconsin in the second half by 3 scores, 21-0 in the final 30 minutes or so. Still 5.5 to play. Alongside Nick Rodecap, I'm Luke Brenneman. We welcome you in to Memorial Stadium. What changed in the second half, Nick?
Indiana's defense clamped down. Wisconsin could not run the ball. That forced the Badgers to try to go through the air, and Carter Smith's forcing throws he probably shouldn't be makes the offense very one-dimensional.
Vinny Anthony II will return it. Caught the kick at the 5-yard line. Now busting up, diving across the 25, down at the 27 is where Wisconsin will try and start what could be their final drive offensively of this contest. They had one drive that really made you say the Badgers have Indiana on upset watch. This game ended the first half 10-7, and that was coming off an 8-play, 79-yard touchdown drive.
To put a quick bow on that, Wisconsin gained 145 yards in the first half. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They have been outgained 204-22 in total offense here in the second half.
Darion Dupree is in the backfield. Shotgun formation for the Badgers, kicking off this drive with 5:17 to go at their own 28-yard line. Jet sweep, taken towards the near sideline and run out of bounds right at the 28-yard line, a pickup of maybe a yard. Vinny Anthony II on the carry.
In Wisconsin, running the ball when you're down this much is very curious, but the Badgers averaging just 2.4 yards per carry. Neither team has been able to run the ball in this game. Luke Fickell said before this one they would have to be able to throw the ball downfield, and so far Wisconsin has not been able to do that.
2nd and 10, the clock continues to run. Empty backfield for Smith, 5 wide, including the running back Dupree. He comes in motion, takes it on the jet sweep, tries to cut up to the middle of the field, and it is all red jerseys. A gain of none right at the 28-yard line. Indiana has their second teamers in. Aiden Fisher still playing middle linebacker in on the stop as well.
And the Hoosiers with Mikhail Kamara out of the game. Daniel Ndukwe, one of the edge rushers. Dominique Ratcliffe getting some more extended run in this game. But with Wisconsin running on back-to-back plays, they've waved the white flag. But Luke Fickell, I'm sure, thinking, man, what went wrong? Because this second half disappeared on them pretty quickly.
3rd and 10. Line to gain is the Wisconsin 38-yard line. Carter Smith in the shotgun, 2 receivers to each side. Smith takes the snap, play action, ball's tipped and knocked down. Daly is right there, along with Elijah Hardy. Those guys are having killer games for the Indiana defense. And yet again, a 3-and-out for the IUD with 3:50 to play.
Elijah Hardy came in off the edge and got his hands up, batted that ball down at the line of scrimmage. It never had a chance. And now that is pretty much going to salt this one away. A phenomenal job by Indiana of responding after halftime. Curt Cignetti making those adjustments and his team putting it out on the field, responding well.
On 4th and 9 from their own 31, Wisconsin will punt. Sean West takes the snap. It was almost blocked. A knuckleball-esque punt lands at the 40-yard line, now takes a huge Wisconsin bounce and is going to trickle all the way inside the IU 20-yard line. That's a heck of a punt from Sean West.
Well, it's, yeah, he got a little bit of help there from a very favorable bounce because it landed just outside the 40 and rolled almost 20 yards. But if you're Indiana, 3:36 on the clock, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Alberto Mendoza comes into the game just to run this out. Ideally, you run the ball about 3 times, take it down to the 2-minute timeout, then kneel it out, and oh, by the way, you're going to go home 11-0 for the first time in program history going into your bye week and then setting up for a Friday night showdown in West Lafayette against Purdue with a 12-0 regular season hanging in the balance.
Doesn't even feel real compared to where this program was before Curt Cignetti. Fernando Mendoza has his helmet off. It's his brother Alberto Mendoza warming up while we're winding down. We'll be right back on WIUX, 3:36 to go between Indiana and Wisconsin. It's officially that time in the fourth quarter where it's turned into Alberto Mendoza time. Plenty of times already in the 2025 season for Indiana University. His brother, Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman favorite, 4 touchdown passes today, just adding on to every accolade he is continuing to set, break, and chase the biggest individual award in college football, the Heisman Trophy. His day is done. 31-7 Indiana leads Wisconsin on Senior Day at the Rock. Alongside Nick Rodecap, I'm Luke Brenneman. Indiana offense out there at their own 19-yard line, 1st and 10. Kobe Martin in the backfield. Alberto Mendoza, the new quarterback. Tight end shifts into the bunch formation. Play action. Mendoza near side, pass complete to LeBron Bond, picks up 8 yards and is pushed down at the 24.
And Luke, you know what's so impressive about this for Fernando Mendoza? He broke Curtis Rourke's passing touchdown record playing in game number 11 this year, but the catch is that he has not finished nearly half of Indiana's games. It's been his brother running the offense when the clock hits 0. He's been so efficient, it's hard to put into words, but Curtis Rourke, your record will be remembered, young man, even though it only lasted 1 year.
New era of Indiana quarterbacks and football. Run play to Martin up the middle. He's right at the first down marker, a little bit short. Posa in on the stop, along with Mason Ryger, the grad linebacker, brings up 3rd and short with 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. Indiana will have to run another play before the 2-minute timeout.
And if you get this first down, it's pretty much over. I think either way it's over, but once you get the first down on the other side of the 2-minute timeout, you can kneel it out about 3 or 4 times, and this one will draw to a close. And these Indiana fans, such a historic turnaround they've been treated to here in Bloomington.
3rd and 1 for now. Indiana at their own 27-yard line just needs to pick up 1. Martin in the backfield. Alberto Mendoza keeps it on the read option, trying to get to the sticks on the near sideline. He does. Fernando dances out of bounds with the twinkle toes. And a first down for the Hoosiers will bring us to the 2-minute timeout, and that is all she wrote for the Badgers.
And it's kind of fitting that Alberto Mendoza is the one to get that first down because, remember, he was committed to James Madison and ends up at Indiana with Curt Cignetti, and he was one of the reasons why Fernando Mendoza came here is because he wanted to be with his brother on the same team just like they were at Christopher Columbus High School in Miami, Florida, and Alberto Mendoza is the one that ices this game. I don't know if it's going to be him or Grant Wilson to kneel it out, but I guess we'll find out on the other side of this 2-minute timeout.
Fernando and Alberto, the only active FBS brothers as quarterbacks together. And what a story that these two are spearheaded by the Heisman favorite, Fernando Mendoza. 2-minute timeout in Bloomington. We'll be right back. 31-7 Hoosiers on WIUX. Back here at Merchants Bank Field at Memorial Stadium, Indiana has beaten Wisconsin, but they got to play a couple more snaps. 2 minutes to go, 31-7. IU leads the Badgers. Alongside Nick Rodecap, I'm Luke Brenneman. Stick around on 99.1. Our main man, Ben Kruer, has a post-game show coming from the studio. Crowd still 75-80% full, cheering on the seniors playing their final snaps here at home, unless Indiana plays a home postseason game in the college football playoff. But going into the bye week and trying to be healthy, Indiana does not come out in victory formation. Mendoza in the shotgun, hands it off to Martin. Darts up the middle, picks up about 7 yards before he's tackled at the 37 by Posa. 2nd and 3 coming up. Nick, I got to ask you, the bye week, the first thing that everybody says, especially this time of the year, is get healthy. But what else does Indiana need to focus on?
Fernando Mendoza and quarterbacks coach Chandler Whitmer need to have a conversation because Mendoza has taken way too many sacks today. Fernando, I should say. Alberto's running the offense now, but 5 sacks. That's back-to-back weeks that Indiana has given up a season high in sacks. Mendoza's either got to throw the ball away, change the protection of the line of scrimmage, or just do something because better teams defensively will eat him alive in the postseason if he plays like he did today, taking sacks.
Indiana runs it to Martin again, trying to cut it up into a plethora of Wisconsin defenders. First down, Indiana, with 1 minute and 11 seconds left. That is all she wrote. Indiana just refuses to kneel the ball out this time of the year. You never want to see anyone getting hurt, but we know Coach Cignetti, guy's a winner, and he's also a fighter. They never stop playing until the final whistle.
Well, they brought the seniors onto the field. Camden Jordan and Jackson Wasserstrom are in there, and Indiana, I think, is going to take a knee here. And good for those seniors. I want to give a shout-out to Cam Jordan because he played state championship-winning football at Cathedral High School, and great to see him on the field. Indiana not kneeling this out. They're going to run a play.
They have to run a play. 36 seconds on the game clock, 5 on the play clock. Mendoza hands it off. Solomon takes the snap. And that is all she wrote from Bloomington. Play on no more. In 138 years of Indiana University football, Indiana is 11-0 for the first time in program history. How does that sound, Bloomington?
Well, I think I speak for all of Bloomington, Luke, when I say it sounds pretty good. Curt Cignetti just keeps making history. I mean, it seems like such a normal thing at this point. They just do it every week, and there's another one for the history books, but he said it earlier in the week that they're not focused on the end. They're not focused on what's going on in the regular season. Everybody has the same aspirations. They know what's possible, and that's the season ending with the national championship. You could add a Big Ten championship to that as well, but the players have the big picture in mind. Tell you what, I bet they're glad to see zeros on the clock here, get out relatively healthy because this bye week is much needed for the Hoosiers.
This was a 10-7 football game at the midway point. Indiana routs Wisconsin 31-7 in Hoosier form in the second half. A fantastic showing from Fernando Mendoza, who every single week is somehow throwing for more touchdowns than incompletions on the day. The sacks were the only issue for the past game, and the win is all that matters. Indiana will head into their bye week ranked for the 24th consecutive week in college football. This is football at Indiana University under Coach Cignetti. Nick, your closing remarks.
Well, Luke, I became a student in 2022 when Indiana was coming off of, I believe, a 2-10 season. They began ranked in the top 20. They finished losing, I think it was 9 games in a row. They lost a lot. And by the time my sophomore year came to a close, nobody cared about IU football. They hired Curt Cignetti, and Cignetti comes in and he says, hey, what's stopping Indiana from winning? And the turnaround that has happened in the time between my freshman and senior years is nothing short of remarkable. Such a fitting way for the home slate to end for Indiana, but Cignetti knows it, the players know it, the fans know it. This is far from their aspirations for this team this year. They don't want to just be 11-0. They want to have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and win a national championship. This team is battle-tested. They showed it again today that they can handle adversity and still be successful at the end. And I cannot wait for the rest of November and December and maybe even January for Indiana football because it is going to be one fun ride.
Well, to the bye week, the Hoosiers go. A chance to rest, reset, and prepare for a postseason that hopefully goes deep into the new year if you're a Hoosier fan. 31-7, the final between Indiana and Wisconsin. We send it back to the studio, and Ben Kruer for the post-game show. Nick Rodecap, Luke Brenneman, Dylan Beach signing off from Memorial Stadium.